Chapter 180, One Heaven Moves Forward. A gentleman should constantly strive for self-improvement. Yuan Huang nodded. This was due to his kung fu skills. He could see clearly. That's right, in the entire martial arts world of China, there are probably only a handful of people who can truly bring out the power of this secret martial art. There are very few martial arts traditions like their Wu family Xinyiquan that insist on focusing on the mind. Not to mention other sects, even among the few traditions of Xinyiquan, which are of the same origin and lineage as Xinyiquan. It is very rare to find martial arts practice that is based on the mind like them. Gradually, the refreshing tea fragrance wafted out, and Li Ziaoshan and Chen Jun beside him couldn't help but watch his movements, feeling that they were very charming. It feels like your husband is getting more and more powerful. Li Ziaoshan couldn't help but turn her head and whispered something to her best friend. Chen Jun glanced at this guy speechlessly and signaled to her with her eyes, "Hey, don't you know that a warrior's 5 senses are very sharp? If you talk like this, they will definitely hear it." Forehead. The girl just remembered this and immediately turned her head guiltily to look at her boyfriend sitting next to her. But she saw him staring at her and giving her a look that said, "Turn around and see how I'll deal with you." Snored. She raised her chin unwillingly and gave a playful eye roll. "Come on, who's afraid of who? By the way, how is your sister-in-law's practice in this secret yoga going?" Yuan Huang carefully put away the technique in his hand. Suddenly he thought of this question and turned to look at Chen Junham. He just seemed to be in a better mental state, but there was no other change. Compared to the internal and external integration of martial arts, the practice of this method focuses more on the pursuit of the spiritual level and is very introverted. Except for martial arts masters, Buddhists, or spiritual practitioners, even masters like Yuan Huang can't tell anything from the outside. Very good, Xiaojun is almost at the level of Joyful Heart, and her physical fitness is equivalent to that of an amateur second-grade warrior. Anthracene. Yuan Huang was a little surprised and looked at Chen Jun. "It's only been 2 months. Your physical fitness has improved so quickly. Not bad, not bad. If so, you can practice our Wu family Xinyiquan and at least reach the whole strength level." Wu Jiantao nodded. "Xiaojun is very talented in calmness, at least better than me." What about me? What about me?" At this time, Li Ziaoshan looked at the 2 grown men and asked anxiously, "You?" Yuan Huang looked at her speechlessly. Apart from her character, everything else was good. Of course, he didn't say it directly, but pondered it carefully for a while. "Your advantage lies in your mind. How should I put it? Well, very smart." "Really?" The girl's eyes lit up, and she smiled and put her arm around her boyfriend. "Not really. I just have a lot of thoughts sometimes. Maybe because of this, I always have a hard time calming down." "Well, you are quite self-aware." Li Ziaoshan pinched the soft flesh on her boyfriend's waist in an angry tone. "Say that again." "Ouch!" Yuan Huang screamed. "No matter how good your martial arts skills are, you will still be afraid of your girlfriend or wife's 2-finger attack." In fact, Wu Jiantao always felt a little unimpressed about joining the Tiger Roar team of the M Province Police, headquarters a level league, and becoming a professional contestant in China's first A-level martial arts league. "It's not that I'm irresponsible or don't like it. It's just that I don't care much about what kind of results I have in this professional competition." Perhaps it was because the only people he cared about now were Chen Jun, Daodu, and Miao, and of course, his own pursuit of martial arts. When it comes to the people around him, and to the martial arts that he believes in, which is to prove one's principles through force, Wu Jiantao's current state of mind is very different from that of ordinary martial artists. The so-called martial arts school is actually no different from Confucianism and Taoism in essence. They all have the unity of man and nature as their core philosophy. However, Confucianism focuses on the human in the unity of man and nature, while Taoism focuses on the heaven in the unity of man and nature. The martial arts school focuses on the way of innovation and change in the unity of man and nature. The Zisai says, "The virtue of heaven and earth is life. The movement of the celestial bodies is vigorous and ceaseless, and the activities of human beings are to imitate heaven, so we should be vigorous and active, and constantly strive to strengthen ourselves. Therefore, people have a desire to be martial." There are 2 kinds of desires for martial arts. One is to seek outside, and the other is to seek inside. Just like the Taoist thought, 1 begets 2, 2 begets 3, 3 begets all things, and the martial arts schools have been like this since the beginning. It is obvious that internal martial arts tend to seek inward, and Wu family Xinyiquan is based on the harmony of mind and intention. It's just that everyone's perception of Xinyiquan is different, and the paths of martial arts they take are also different. Just like the artistic conception of Yuan Huang's Xinyiquan, it is more about serving the country and the people. because he was influenced by the education he received at the People's Public Security University since childhood and even in college, so it comes naturally to him to have such an intention. And what about Wu Jiangtao? Since he joined the team, Chen Jun was surprised to find that her husband seemed to be more concerned about household matters. He only spent 4 or 5 hours a day practicing martial arts at most, and spent more time doing household chores. This considerate wife tried to talk to Wu Jiangtao about this matter several times, telling him not to worry too much about home. After all, he had not returned to the institute yet, and she could handle many things at home by herself. For example, for 3 meals a day, she doesn't need to cook every meal so well. For breakfast, she can just fry an egg, make some bread in a bread machine, and then make some milk. This is very nutritious. She didn't know that her husband's martial arts training now focused on the training of the mind. Although there was also training of the body's muscles and bones, it was not the main focus. She didn't know that Wu Jiangtao's martial arts practice had a lot to do with her. In particular, the girl's independent and self-reliant spirit deeply touched him. In addition, the process of the two of them taking care of the baby these days, from being strangers at the beginning to knowing each other now, made his martial arts have a layer of protection. Therefore, although Wu Jiangtao's Xinyiquan spirit is fundamentally the same as that of all martial artists, in that they all focus on self-improvement, and as heaven moves with vigor, a gentleman should constantly strive for self-improvement. The focus of his practice of martial arts is on protecting the people around him. Therefore, his practice of mind, Kung Fu, is completely different from the practice of mainstream whole-energy martial artists. What he needs now is being in it, integrating into life, deeply experiencing the harmony and beauty of my life with Chen Jun, and realizing bit by bit that taking care of 2 little babies is a heart that is close to the laws of nature and the inheritance of humanity. This is Wu Jiangtao's martial arts spirit. After these few chapters, we immediately return to daily life. This chapter explains that the protagonist's martial arts heart is very special, and he needs to return to daily life. The following plot will not be about large-scale competitions and fighting, but the protagonist will experience his martial arts heart of self-reliance and protection in his daily life and move forward slowly. So I'm a bit stuck in these few chapters. The second update will be in the afternoon. Don't worry, Tilda, let me calm down. It's not easy to write everyday Tilda. Chapter 182, Yawning. Please subscribe and vote Tilda. The mainstream practice method for the whole strength circle level is mostly to pursue the original intention of one's martial arts, asking oneself why one is practicing martial arts and how much price one is willing to pay for it. This is not something that can be achieved by just shouting a few slogans or doing something stupid very deliberately. During this stage of practice, they constantly reflect on themselves, explore themselves, and find the real inner strength that moves them. Then they put it into practice in a down-to-earth manner, practice it again and again, and polish it again and again, so that their work can truly take shape. This kind of spiritual practice requires more than just knowing what it is. It also requires actual practice in the body, and then further feedback to the soul, so as to achieve the transition from the heart to the mind, and finally the unity of body and mind. This process is the practice of the mainstream martial artists to achieve the unity of body and mind when their whole strength enters the circle. The practice at this level is not simple, just like Wang Yongming, who combined Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism into one 500 years ago to develop the highest point of Chinese philosophy, the school of mind. What he sought was the unity of knowledge and action. Seeing that he didn't seem to care about the M University's martial arts department and his work in the Tiger Roar team, Chen Jun was a little worried. But she had reminded her husband several times that he didn't need to pay too much attention to the family and didn't need to take care of the family all the time. He could focus more on work, or even on practicing martial arts. In fact, Chen Jun found it difficult to understand Wu Jiangtao's explanation. Taking care of the family is practicing martial arts. For this reason, she even secretly called Wu's mother and told her mother-in-law about Wu Jiangtao's recent situation and asked him if this was normal. But Wu Ma just smiled and told her not to worry too much, saying that this was also a form of practice for her son. Chen Jun. She really couldn't understand it. Although Wu Jiangtao caused quite a stir in the martial arts world and joined the Tiger Roar level league team, the outside world was disturbed, and even reporters called to interview him. But he did not seem to be affected at all and continued to live his life calmly. Gradually, his life with Chen Jun and the 2 lovely little angels returned to its original track. The 3rd week of September. My sister Daodu kicked off the quilt for the first time. Fortunately, she didn't have a fever when she woke up the next day, but she did have mild diarrhea. This scared Chen Jun to death, and at the same time she felt extremely guilty. If she hadn't slept too deeply last night and failed to cover the little one with a blanket, she would have caught a cold in her stomach. It's okay, you don't want to do that. Don't worry, I can cure her. At noon, Wu Jiantao held his sister Daodu in his arms and handed her a teething toy so that she could hold it in both hands and play with it. Then he took out the prepared ginger slices and the lit moxa sticks and applied moxibustion to the little girl's belly button. If your baby has a cold stomach, using moxibustion on the navel is one of the best ways to treat it. There is no other reason. The little ones now have very weak resistance, and all aspects of their body functions are still very imperfectly developed. Both Chinese and Western medicines have too strong side effects, so they cannot take medicine at all. Even moxibustion cannot last too long, usually only 10 minutes. Moreover, because the baby's skin is too delicate and thin, the moxa stick cannot be too close to the skin during moxibustion, so as to avoid burning the baby. After the moxibustion, Daodu felt a little restless and struggled hard in her father's arms. Well, the sound of her brother feeding beside her aroused her hunger. Wu Jiantao deliberately held Daodu and moved closer to Chen Jun so that she could see her brother suckling his baby's milk, swaying his little feet as he sucked. Wow, brother, you seem to be enjoying this meal. The younger sister couldn't bear it anymore, and she started babbling, trying to reach out to find her mother, but her hands were too short to reach her, and then she cried out in grievance. Oh wait, Mom is here and my poop is stinky. Chen Jun came over, gave someone a fierce look, then deftly took his sister Daodu in one hand, opened another granary, and put out grain for disaster relief. The two babies were each held on one side and were eating happily. After a while, they were full. Well, now Daodu and Mio are 4 months old. They don't need their dad to hold them in his arms and burp them anymore. Chen Jun just holds them in his arms at a slight angle and walks around, and the two babies burp one after another. It has to be said that the improvement in Chen Jun's physical fitness in the past 2 months has given her a great help. Her physical condition is better than before she became pregnant. It is so easy for her to hold 2 babies, one in each hand, and she doesn't feel tired even if she holds them for an hour or 2. More importantly, she feels that her sleep quality is better, and she even has more energy to devote to work projects at the institute at home. After finishing their feeding, both babies felt a little sleepy. They raised their little faces and yawned cutely. As we all know, yawning is contagious. The mother, who was closest to the 2 babies, couldn't help but yawn loudly. Then Wu Jiantao, who was sitting on the sofa, also yawned. A family of 4, all yawning. Puff! Suddenly, Chen Jun couldn't help laughing out loud, and then she saw her husband looking at her with a strange look. Yawning is really contagious. You see, the 2 babies yawned just now, first me, and then you couldn't help but yawn too. Wu Jiantao was stunned at first, and then he realized this. Well, as expected, this is the detail of life. It seems that his martial arts heart is not sharp enough, and he is not aware of the details of life. He actually failed to notice this. After laughing at himself in his heart, he very creatively approached the 2 little guys who were still energetic and not asleep, and yawned at them with both sound and sight. Chen Jun. She looked at her husband with confusion. What was he doing? Then Wu Jiantao thought for a moment and yawned loudly at the 2 little guys with black eyes. Of course, he yawned in the other direction, otherwise the tone. Daodu. Mio. What is this person who I see every day, looks very familiar, and keeps lying to me about calling me daddy doing? No response. Wu Jiantao was puzzled. He prepared for a moment and yawned hard for the 3rd time, even making a sound like ah tilde tilde. Ha tilde tilde. The 2 little guys didn't react at all, but Chen Jun couldn't help but yawned helplessly, then gave him a reproachful look and patted him. What are you doing? Aren't you bored? Chapter 183. Everyone wants to be happy. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket tilde. No, I was just testing how yawning is contagious. You are stupid. Chen Jun couldn't help laughing. The phenomenon of contagious yawning is actually a kind of psychological suggestion. This psychological suggestion is based on the fact that others can interpret and understand others at the conscious or subconscious level. Now the 2 babies are still young and have not established a very complete communication bond with us. At least when the babies are 3 or 4 years old, they will be infected by our yawns. Anthracene, so that's how it is. Wu Jiantao nodded, feeling that his strange knowledge had increased again. Honey, I want to take our 2 babies back to our hometown in Kyoto to live for a few days, Chen Jun whispered while coaxing the babies to sleep. Why so sudden? Well, going back to Chen Jun's home in Kyoto is completely different from going back to his hometown in Q City. The whole process of taking a car and a plane takes most of the day, so it becomes a bit troublesome to take care of the baby on the way. For example, the baby needs to change diapers on the plane, but there is no mother and child room where the baby can be changed while lying down. It has to be changed in the arms, which is definitely difficult for one person to do and needs the help of two people. The above situation is still relatively good. If the baby has poop, it will be more troublesome. Of course, it is quite troublesome, but Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun have long been accustomed to it. During this period, my grandparents had video calls with the babies and wanted us to bring the baby back to see them. They said this several times. Wu Jiantao pondered for a moment and nodded. Okay, the baby is more than 4 months old now, and he is not as difficult to take care of as when he was just 1 month old. If you want to go back, go back. I will go with you to take care of you. Grandpa Chen and Grandma Chen had talked about this matter a long time ago. Okay, then I'll go book the tickets first. And honey, my grandparents hope that we can go back and stay longer. Then, how long will I stay? He looked at his wife and quickly explained, you know, although my current job doesn't require me to punch in every day, I still need martial arts guidance from M University at least once a week, and I also need to attend seminars from the team. Chen Jun looked at this guy strangely, feeling that he was not being sincere. Then why don't you just fly back? It's only once a week anyway, and the flight from Kyoto to City F only takes 2 or 3 hours. Or you don't want to go back with me. Her heart tightened slightly, as she didn't want to have a conflict with her husband over this matter. She hadn't been back home for at least a year because of the birth of Daodu and Mayome. Before that, after she graduated and worked at the graduate school, no matter how busy she was, she would go back home at least once a month, stay for a day or two, and spend time with the 2 elderly people. Well, whether it was her father, 4th uncle, or the 2 married aunts, they all had their own families, and they would only return to their hometown to accompany the 2 elderly people during the New Year holidays. This had been the case for many years, even though Chen's father, among the 4 children, was also in Kyoto, the closest to his hometown. But at least he was with the old man, and so was Mr. Mo perhaps. This is what it means when people of the same family stick together. When Chen Jun was a child, Mr. Mo had accumulated some resentment when he was still raising little Chen Jun at home. He had a dispute with Chen's father. Why can you work outside in the name of work? Why should I be responsible for the big and small things at home, filial piety to the elderly, and the education of the children? The most important thing is, how much money have you, Chen Liangdong, given to your family over the years? The daily necessities of life, the school fees for children, various social interaction. At that time, it happened to be the era when making atomic bombs was not as popular as selling tea eggs. Chen Jun remembers what happened afterwards very clearly. When he just started elementary school, his mother also went out to find a job. Gradually, she became as busy as his father, leaving home early and returning late. They were so busy that they were obviously a family living under the same roof, but they had never seen each other because of leaving home early and returning late. At first, Chen Jun couldn't stop crying because she missed her mother. Later, she got tired and gradually stopped crying. She simply followed her grandparents to her hometown and lived with them for more than 10 years, until she was admitted to university, left home, and came to the south. Now she misses home. After listening to what Chen Jun said, Wu Jiantao looked at her and thought about it seriously. Yes, then you are going back to live. 1 month, is that okay? Chen Jun looked at her husband hopefully and quickly said, if you think it's too long, then. It's okay. A month is fine. If you want, you can stay longer. Wu Jiantao said quickly. Real? Chen Jun's eyes lit up, but he immediately reacted. Forget it. A month is a long time. I can't stay in my hometown all the time and bother my grandparents. Their health is not very good. Wu Jiantao pondered for a moment. I will also take advantage of this time to take care of Grandpa and Grandma after I go home, adjust their diet, and use moxibustion, massage, and other physical therapy methods. 1 month is enough for Grandpa and Grandma to form a habit so that their bodies will be healthier. Hearing this, the girl put the 2 babies who had fallen asleep in the crib, looked at him with bright eyes, and said with affectionate eyes, Thanks. If you really want to express your gratitude. Someone looked her up and down and said, then, upgrade your tantric yoga to the level of joy as soon as possible. You know, only when you are happy can I be happy too, and everyone should be happy. What does it mean that I can only be happy if you are happy? Although he was very uncomfortable, Chen Jun saw the meaningful look on someone's face, and then he suddenly realized. By the way, recently in my practice of tantric yoga, my mind has been restless, especially when I was practicing. Some strange images would appear inexplicably in my mind. Those images were like abstract paintings, and sometimes they were colorful. After asking my husband, I learned that this was the beginning of a leap in my spiritual level. So the reason why he hesitated about my going back to my hometown to live for so long was because he was about to break through to the state of joy. After returning to my hometown, my mind might be affected. You big perverts. The girl's face suddenly turned red, and she scolded him with a rosy face. "What big pervert," Wu Jiantao said righteously. "You have also read that technique, right? We are practicing." "Humph, I won't talk to you anymore." Well, the tantric practice method has had a very unique practice method called Joy Zen since ancient times. Of course, this dual practice method is far less magical than the dual practice methods in mythological novels. Sorry, the second update should be in the evening tilde. I have been busy with trivial matters at home recently tilde. Chapter 184. Departure. Please subscribe and vote tilde. Wu Jiantao arranged his own assessment courses for the dozen or so talented students at M University on every Friday, while the seminars for the Tiger Roar team were held on Saturdays. Therefore, Chen Jun bought the plane ticket for Sunday morning. That morning, the two packed their luggage and filled a large suitcase. Most of it was filled with Daodu and Meo's clothes, diapers, milk powder, and other various items. As for Chen Jun and Wu Jiantao's things, they only took up a small portion. It's summer now, and the clothes they carry are very thin and don't take up much space. Pushing Daodu and Mio, the family of four came to the underground parking plaza. Wu Jiantao put the luggage in the trunk of the car and carefully placed Daodu and Mio in the baby safety seats in the back seat of the car. "Zed off." Sitting in the driver's seat, Wu Jiantao announced happily. Perhaps for Wu Jiantao, living in Chen Jun's home in Kyoto is more like a journey. Well, the difference from ordinary travel is that the place is unfamiliar to him, but his wife is very familiar with it. She has lived here for more than 10 years. Here are her closest relatives, her relatives and friends, her childhood friends and colleagues. He is also looking forward to it. Of course, it was just expectation. He glanced at the rearview mirror and thought to himself that his wife really had a good relationship with her grandparents. At this moment, Chen Jun, who was sitting in the back seat of the car, was looking forward to arriving in Kyoto in the afternoon and visiting his hometown, where he had lived for more than 10 years, and meeting his grandparents. She has always been calm and independent, but she knows that her eagerness and happiness at this moment are actually just caused by the secretion of dopamine in her body. Many people have a misunderstanding about dopamine. In fact, it does not bring happiness at all, but a desire for a certain behavioral result. The most active time for dopamine secretion is not when something that makes people feel happy or joyful happens, but when the expectation begins, just like when you go out for a trip. The most exciting time for smoking is when you light a cigarette, and the happiest time for eating a big meal is when the dishes are served. The process of anticipation always makes people happier than getting the results directly. As a scientist, although Chen Jun is not a psychologist, in recent years, the doctoral supervisors and leaders of the institute have hated mobile phones very much, because many researchers have been addicted to mobile phones to varying degrees, some playing games, some reading online articles, and the most common ones are watching Douyin videos. So the leaders held a special seminar to analyze this strange addiction phenomenon. Why do people watch TikTok videos for hours? Soon, the old scholars with unique vision and sophisticated thinking came to a conclusion. That is, watching short videos keeps people in anticipation, always looking forward to the next content. Chen Jun had a vague instinctive awareness of this even before this seminar. Therefore, she had never dated any boys before, and did not like so-called brand name bags or clothing. Maybe it's because I've seen clearly the full hormones behind the boasting or pie in the sky stories of many boys in front of me, and I've also seen clearly that the so-called commodities are just some kind of beautiful life or blueprint drawn by extremely shrewd businessmen. To put it bluntly, all of this. It's a collusion between your genes and your nature, working together to deceive you. Although her mother did not provide her with a very good companionship in life, she has been helping her in study and in relationships since the upper grades of elementary school. This mother was extremely responsible. She had been teaching her daughter since she was little, repeatedly telling her that men are good at lying, and she had also taught her more than once about the viciousness of people's hearts and greed in the business world. Of course, the most important thing was the weaknesses. Therefore, she understood this very clearly when she was in high school. But at this moment, Chen Jun did not pull himself out of his emotions, but walked into them naturally. Because at this moment, the girl's inner desire and expectation come from the two closest and most respected relatives in her life. Kyoto Feiyan Group Headquarters Building. Is General Manager Mo here? A professional woman who is about 30 years old, dressed very fashionably and looked very capable, walked outside in a hurry, looked at a young man waiting outside, frowned and asked, "Sorry, Secretary Hu, General Manager Mo is on his way, but there's a traffic jam, so he needs some time." Secretary Hu's handsome brows furrowed deeply. At this critical moment, Manager Mo actually What traffic jam? Shouldn't such an important meeting take into account the time of traffic jams and arrange the itinerary in advance? Obviously, due to the suppression and sanctions from the United States, some strange voices have appeared within the Feiyun group, and some are lip service to the current group's decision-making. Mr. Mo, to be more precise, Mr. Mo, how could you tolerate this? She immediately summoned all the decision-makers from the various departments, but the most important and key person among them, General Manager Mo, was late. In the conference room, Mr. Mo sat quietly with a calm expression on his face, as if he didn't care at all about his favorite general being late. She checked the time again, then suddenly stood up slowly, and calmly glanced at the leaders of the main departments who were sitting neatly at the scene. In the silence that made everyone's heart beat faster, Mr. Mo finally spoke. The meeting has been postponed. Did you all bring your computers? If you have any, work here. If you don't have any, have your subordinates bring them and work here. Don't delay other work. When General Manager Mo arrives, we will start the meeting. I have to leave for a while. Yes. The heads of the departments on the scene quickly agreed. A few of them looked at each other inconspicuously, not quite understanding what President Mo was planning to do, but since she had spoken, they could only follow the crowd and stay here. After saying this, Mr. Mo immediately turned around and walked out of the conference room. After returning to the president's office, she explained some matters regarding the upcoming meeting to Secretary Hu, and then looked at her personal assistant Xiao Wan. Xiao Wan, has the car been arranged? It's arranged. Xiaoi is waiting for you downstairs. We can leave at any time. Xiao Wan said quickly. Okay. As he was talking, Mr. Mo walked out of the office calmly, took the elevator to the main door downstairs, and his bodyguard and driver Xiao, he was already waiting in front of the door in a sedan. Bump! With the sound of the door closing softly, Mr. Mo, who was sitting in the back seat of the car, exhaled softly and couldn't help but raise his hand to rub his brow. Chapter 185 Arrival. Please subscribe and vote tilde. Mr. Mo, I'll give you some moxibustion and massage therapy tonight. You really need a good rest now. Mr. Mo closed his eyes and let out a breath. His breathing became soft and long, as if he had fallen asleep. But Xiao Wan, the personal assistant sitting in the front passenger seat, knew that Mr. Mo was not asleep. He was just taking advantage of this rare quietness to take a nap to relax. He sighed softly. Perhaps even Secretary Hu didn't know how unhappy and helpless Mr. Mo, who was always energetic and resolute, was when it came to his family and personal life. How's the road condition along the way? The navigation shows that only Zhangzhou Road on the 3rd Ring Road is a little congested, but everything else is fine. Anthracene, can you arrive on time? Mr. Mo, please rest assured. I have taken into account the time of traffic congestion. We also have other alternative routes. It will not delay your trip, Xiao Yi said confidently while driving. Okay. The road to the airport was not congested, which was rare. The Zhangzhou Road section that was shown as a bit congested on the map before they arrived was now very smooth. It was completely different from what someone said. I just got off the plane, I'm in the car, and the road is very congested. Xiao Wan is just Mr. Mo's personal assistant. She has only heard of the company's major work projects and doesn't know much, so she has no idea. Mo Wan was even more nonchalant. She didn't care at all about the trouble in the company and seemed to have never taken it to heart. Soon they arrived at the airport. Bodyguard Xiao Yi parked the car and followed behind Mr. Mo, instinctively glancing around, focusing on several commanding heights of nearby buildings. What am I thinking? He was somewhat speechless, but he felt helpless in his heart. This place was not as chaotic as the southern continent or the United States. All kinds of plots and assassinations could happen at any time. The bodyguard Xiao Yi is actually not a pure Chinese, but an American of Chinese descent. His grandfather's generation immigrated to the United States during the war-torn years in China and settled there. His father and then he, although 3 generations have insisted on learning and speaking Chinese, he has not been exposed to much Chinese culture. However, when he took advantage of this rare holiday to break through martial arts and came to China to practice in the past 6 months, what he saw and heard in China went from being unbelievable in the beginning to being calm now. In his hometown of the United States, he was successful when he debuted at the age of 19. At that time, he was full of confidence and thought he could conquer the world. Unfortunately, the road to the pinnacle of life was very bumpy. In the end, he had to become a bodyguard, which he least wanted to be. It happened that he was more of a good martial arts player, and he didn't even have the most basic professional qualities of a bodyguard. At that time, he was arrogant, and those bodyguard predecessors were too lazy to teach him. As a result, Xiao Yi worked as a bodyguard for 4 rich men, and they were all killed. Finally, he went abroad in a rage and came to the southern continent in the east, wanting to see what the brigades that killed his previous four bosses were like. Then by chance, he joined the current brigade and became a member of it, with 5 social insurances and 1 housing fund, annual leave, and leave for martial arts training. The so-called martial arts training vacation brought him the opportunity to come to China and enjoy the most peaceful and tranquil vacation since his debut. There is no such thing as a mysterious martial arts saying of breaking through the bottleneck between life and death. The growth of martial arts is destined to be a slow and long process, just like Xiaoi is now at the critical moment of entering the whole Four Circle. If he is always in a life and death struggle, his tense body and mind cannot calm down, and the breakthrough in his mind will naturally stagnate. The so-called enlightenment requires the unity of man and nature, and heaven, to some extent, refers to the environment. If the environment is too dangerous, his attention will naturally be focused on survival and fighting. All that talk about comprehending the state of mind and breaking through bottlenecks is nonsense. Before coming to China, the boss specially ordered King Ai, "Don't keep thinking about the mission of the brigade. Don't think about the life and death struggles you experienced before. The whole energy into the circle is the beginning of the mind training. The mind is pure and does not allow any distracting thoughts. Don't just practice blindly. The mind is not a water grinding skill. Relax your mind, don't feel stressed. Find your original intention for practicing martial arts. Find your original heart, find your own mind, and find your belief in martial arts." The boss's words kept echoing in his ears, but King Ai was a little confused. Why did I practice martial arts? To stand out. No, that's not right. Such a superficial and childish thought is not the original intention of my entering this path. Then why am I practicing martial arts? It seems that when I was a child, I was not so happy. My father and grandfather always supervised me. My father would even beat me with a stick from time to time, and my grandfather, who felt sorry for me, would beat my father. Standing at the Isle of the Plain, the bodyguard Xiaoi couldn't help but have a distant look on his face, thinking back to when he was a child, practicing martial arts, and thinking back to that kind face that always smiled at him. Suddenly, he seemed to sense something, and his body and mind instinctively tensed up, his scattered gaze instantly focused on looking not far ahead. A master is coming. Mom! As soon as he arrived at the airport entrance, Chen Jun immediately saw Mo Wan, Xiao Wan, and bodyguard Xiaoi among the people waiting to pick him up. The two pushed the stroller and came over to the 3 of them. Chen Jun looked at her mother in surprise. "Why are you here?" She was really surprised. She thought her mother didn't have time to come and pick her up. "You're my daughter. Isn't it normal for me to come pick you up when you get home?" Mr. Mo looked at his daughter with a reproachful look, gently pulled her hand, and at the same time leaned over to look at the 2 babies who were sleeping soundly. Is it time to change the baby's diaper? Although the number of times she had to change diapers for the 2 babies was very few, she could still tell basic situations, such as whether or not the diapers needed to be changed. "Well, there's a baby room up ahead. Let's go there to change." Chen Jun pointed to the restroom on the side. "Oh." This time when I came back, in addition to reuniting with my grandparents, spending more time with them, and letting the 2 old people see the baby more, there was another very important thing, which was to discuss their marriage with Mr. Mo and Mr. Chen. Regarding this matter, the 2 families have met once in the past 2 months, and the preliminary result is to hold 2 weddings, one for the groom and one for the bride. Chapter 186. Opening. Please subscribe. Please vote tilde. Well, because the 2 of them had a child before marriage, both the Wu family and the Chen family's attitude towards the wedding was not to make a big fuss. Generally speaking, for a big family like Chen Mo in China, even if they are not the core descendants who can inherit the family power, when they encounter a major life event like a wedding, it will definitely be a major event that will shock people inside and outside the circle. For example, the Mo family where Mo Wan is from has connections in the business and political circle, and has close relationships with Mo Wan's capable subordinates and directors in Fei Yan Group. This is just the Mo family. There are also quite a few people from the Chen family. Although Father Chen's work at the institute is special, he is definitely not as well connected as Mr. Mo, but he has trained no less than 10 students in the institute over the past 20 years, and each of these 10 students has achieved considerable success in their respective fields and has branched out. Simply put, although Father Chen cannot be said to have many students all over the world, he does have quite a few disciples. As the daughter of Mo Wan and Chen Chu, if Chen Jun's marriage was not a big event in the wealthy circles of Kyoto, then no other son of a wealthy family would be able to get it. Generally speaking, Chen Jun's wedding must be extremely grand, with participants ranging from the business community to the political community, and then to the political community. The Wu family will also bring top figures from various martial arts schools, and even the military and police. In the more than 2 months since getting the marriage certificate with Chen Jun, Wu Jiantao has discussed his marriage with Chen Jun with Mr. Mo. When he heard her talk about this scene, his scalp tingled just thinking about it. If the two families join together to hold one, even if the elders of both families tacitly agree not to hold a grand ceremony, the scene will probably still be huge. Well, let alone the Chen and Mo families. Even when the Wu family told them how many people they had invited, Mo Want was dumbfounded. In addition to the martial arts community, there were also people from the military and the National Security Agency. Well, more than half of them were brought by Grandpa Wu. If the two families join forces, they will have no choice but to make it a grand affair. Therefore, they finally decided to hold the weddings of the two children separately, one for the Chen family and one for the Wu family. Although the two have obtained their marriage certificate and are legally married, the wedding is a very important event in their lives and naturally cannot be rushed. The time has been roughly decided. The wedding will be held before the Spring Festival this year. Before that, Mr. Mo will ask a world-class master to design and customize Chen Jun's wedding dress, gemstone necklace, bracelet, and other accessories. It will take at least 2 months. By the way, the mother-in-law also asked her daughter to report Wu Jiantao's body data and simply designed and customized his wedding dress. On the way home, Mo Wan looked at her daughter's expression. Is this an illusion? Why does it seem like my daughter has lost some weight? My daughter's complexion is no longer the sluggish feeling she had 2 or 3 months ago, especially her skin, which looks very good. She doesn't look like a mother who just gave birth to 2 babies. Besides, especially her posture. She didn't wear loose maternity clothes, but a very slim skirt. Her flat and natural belly and waist and hips. Is this the posture a mother who gave birth to twins just over 4 months ago should have? Mr. Mo was very surprised. You have to know that after I gave birth to her, within 1 or 2 years, my sagging belly could not return to its original shape and position. The excess fat formed a bulge in my abdomen, which greatly affected my appearance and even caused back pain. In that era, there was no scientific and rigorous physical examination and medical advice like there is now. It was also because the girls of his nephew's generation got married and had children that Mr. Mo realized that the condition he encountered was called rectus abdominis separation. There were few spoiled girls in those days, and most of them had lived through hard times, not as many problems as now, so they just gritted their teeth and got through it. But now girls are spoiled, eat a lot and exercise little, so naturally there are more pregnant women with this disease. How's it going lately? Is the baby still waking up at night? It's not bad, now he only wakes up once at most. We have started to try not to feed him at night and let him sleep through the night. Chen Jun said with a smile. Yeah, take your time. Generally, when the baby is about 6 months old, he or she won't need to get up at night to feed. By the way, do Daodu and Myomeo have colic? Intestinal colic. Chen Jun was stunned. He had never heard of it. Weren't you paying attention? Director Mo explained unhappily. This is also a kind of growing pain. Your cousin Chen Luo was born a month earlier than you. She hasn't been eating or sleeping well at night and has been crying and making a lot of noise. She went to the hospital for a checkup the day before yesterday, and the doctor said it was growing pains. No, Daodu and Myomeo recovered from the eczema during the 1-month period and have been like this ever since. Pa. Director Mo quickly reached out to cover his daughter's mouth and said speechlessly, you can't say that. No. In front of the car, Wu Jiantao, who was following the navigation in the driver's seat, was speechless. He couldn't help but look up at the rearview mirror. He didn't expect. It turns out that you are this kind of Mr. Mo. Is it possible that the president of Feiyun Group is so superstitious? Well, on the way back to Chen Jun's hometown, the driver was changed to Wu Jiantao, while Mr. Mo and Chen Jun sat in the back seat of the car, each holding a baby. As for the bodyguard Xiaoi and life assistant Xiaowan, they called a car and followed them. Feeling Wu Jiantao's gaze on him, Mr. Mo didn't care at all. Instead, he shook his head and said, you guys are still too young. You always think that this world is scientific. Like, if it's not scientific, then is it fantasy? The two young men looked at each other, both showing a nonchalant look on their faces. Chen Jun shook his head speechlessly. Mom, after all, you are the president of a high-tech listed company. Why are you still so superstitious? I'm superstitious. Director Mo raised his eyebrows, glanced at his daughter and said calmly, there is something that you may not know, Xiaojun, but Jiang Tao, you are a top student in the computer department, you should know. The servers of the National Level Communication Network, take our Feiyun Group as an example. Each device has hundreds of millions of lines of code. Do you know what group companies like us or countries usually do to the servers in order to increase the stability of the network? Oh. Chen Jun was confused. What else can we do? Of course, we should conduct scientific calculations and tests to ensure the stability of the network. As she said this, she turned to look at her husband, who was driving in front of her, only to see an indescribable weirdness on his face. Well, actually, generally, servers of this level need to be consecrated before or during operation. Oh. Chen Jun was stunned for a moment, and then looked at her husband in confusion. Consecration. You just said consecration, the kind that monks and Taoist priests do. Chapter 187 Home. Please subscribe and vote tilde. This is real. Wu Jiantao shook his head speechlessly, and then he talked about some unspeakable supernatural events that several of his seniors, who went to work in large high-tech companies during his 4 years in the computer department, had told them about. Among them, the most widely circulated story in the computer science department of M University is that a few years ago, a senior who worked for a well-known internet company returned to school to give an open class sharing and talked about his personal experience. Well, that well-known company is also a very famous IDC service provider in H province. The computer room was cut off due to a storm that damaged the cables. Fortunately, NetShield's computer rooms are spread all over the country, and only some servers in the company's computer room can't operate. The storm covered the sky layer by layer, leaving no gaps, and with the power outage, the whole office was pitch black, which was a bit creepy. At that time, the senior was just a front-line operation and maintenance worker. In order to ease the atmosphere, he and his colleagues in the same department were chatting and laughing. It was a rare opportunity for everyone not to be busy with work and to talk about family matters, and everyone did not waste this opportunity. Everyone was chattering like elementary school students on a spring outing. Suddenly, someone walked by the computer room and said, "Listen, it seems that there are servers still running in the computer room." The noise suddenly stopped, and everyone stopped and pricked up their ears quietly. This was really creepy. There was a power outage, but there was really the sound of machines running in the computer room. The roar of the cooling fan was familiar to everyone, and it was impossible to hear it wrong. Although the sound was very small, it was definitely the sound of the server running. There was no mistake. The colleague in the front row suddenly opened the door of the computer room, and everyone picked up the backup flashlights and went in to check. After checking again and again, they found that there was no server running. However, when they closed the door of the computer room, the sound of the server fan rang in their ears again. Later, a talisman was pasted on the computer room of my senior's company, and some talismans were also pasted on the server. There were more books on Zhaoyi, Feng Shui, etc. in the company's reading room and on the desks and bookcases of many colleagues. True story. There are many such strange incidents in Wu Jiantao's computer department. For example, it happened more than once in the computer department of M University. The code disappeared inexplicably when he turned around to drink a cup of coffee, or some strange words appeared inexplicably in the middle of the article. This is not propaganda of feudal superstition. There are all kinds of things in the world. The existence of some things is reasonable. Whether we believe it or not, it really exists. Wu Jiantao shook his head and smiled. It is normal for equipment with hundreds of millions of lines of code to have chaos and randomness that is not controlled by human will, whether it is my aunt's company or the country. It often happens that we don't know why it breaks down and why it gets fixed again. Not to mention us in China, many countries in the world have the habit of consecrating servers to increase network stability. Chen Jun was speechless after hearing this, feeling that he had acquired more weird knowledge. In fact, Mo Wan had encountered many strange things in the business world over the years. For example, her mother's grandfather knew a man from the Xunmen when he was young. When she was young, she just thought that the other party was a liar. When she was in her 30s or 40s, she experienced some things and came into contact with the other party's successor several times under the introduction of the old man. She gradually understood that metaphysics was just a reasonable existence that science could not explain. In fact, metaphysics was also a kind of science, except that it could not be accurately measured or repeatedly verified like science. Well, according to what the successor of that Xunmen Sr. said, metaphysics is like the advanced development stage of quantum mechanics, which has been very popular in recent years. This chat in the car was just a chat. After about 40 minutes drive, they arrived at Chen Jun's hometown in Kyoto. "Grandpa, Grandma, I miss you so much." Chen Jun hugged the two elderly people who came to greet her, and her eyes instantly became red. Okay, silly child, don't cry. It's good that you're back, it's good that you're back." Grandma Chen couldn't help but wipe her eyes, walked over and enthusiastically took Wu Jiantao's hand. Come here and let me see. Why are you all so skinny? Where is your baby? After a round of greetings, Grandma Chen and Grandpa Chen came over to the stroller and looked at Daodu and Mayomio with loving eyes. The two little ones fell asleep again in the gently rocking stroller and were sleeping soundly. Chen Jun's hometown is a courtyard house with a very old feel. There is a persimmon tree in the open space outside the courtyard. I heard from Xiaojun before that the courtyard house of her hometown was originally very large, and the persimmon tree was also in the courtyard. Later, she heard from some feng shui master that the persimmon tree should not be placed in the courtyard. In addition, the old city area was being rebuilt, so they simply demolished the old house and redesigned and rebuilt it. The persimmon tree was no longer planted in the courtyard house. Come, Xiaojun, your room. Your father and I changed a new bed for you. The desk and bookshelf have not been moved. Grandma Chen brought her granddaughter and grandson-in-law to their room. Arriving at the room, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun put away their luggage while looking around the room. It was obvious that someone often came to clean the room. The desk, bookshelf, bed sheets, and even the floor were all very clean and tidy. There was no musty smell in the room, and it even had a faint fragrance. This is Xiaojun's boudoir since she was a child. Oh, the baby is awake. As soon as I arrived in the room, Daodu and Mayomio, who had been sleeping soundly, woke up one after another and started babbling looking for their mother. It can be seen that the two babies are a little hungry, but Chen Jun has no intention of feeding them. Instead, she turned to look at her grandmother. Grandma, is there a bathtub ready at home? Yes, 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 I'll get it for you. After saying that, Grandma Chen immediately turned around and walked away. Wu Jiantao quickly followed her. Grandma, I'll get it. Well, we have to give the babies a bath today. It just so happens that the two babies are going out and passing through crowded places today, so we need to wash them and change them into clean clothes. After preparing the warm water, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun skillfully washed the two babies' hair and bathed them. It took them less than half an hour to finish. At this time, the aroma of food was already wafting through the courtyard, covering an area of more than 200 square meters. Are you ready? Come over and eat. Grandpa Chen called from far away in the kitchen, while Grandma Chen was in charge of dressing the two babies. It was summer at that time, and the two babies were wearing short-sleeved shirts and shorts, and their exposed arms, legs, and feet were all chubby. The old lady was changing the clothes of the two little ones and making them giggle, and she was very happy. Chapter 188. Please subscribe and vote for me, Tilda. At the dinner table, just as Director Mo sat down with everyone, her assistant Xia Wan came in from outside, came up to her, and whispered, Director Mo, President Mo has arrived. He called to ask when you will be back to preside over the meeting. Although her voice was not loud, the originally warm and happy atmosphere at the steaming dinner table suddenly faded a lot. Grandpa and Grandma couldn't help but look at their granddaughter. Although their faces were calm, the two old people could feel that she was unhappy. Arrive. Director Mo was unmoved and said calmly, You don't have to answer President Mo. Just contact Secretary Hu and ask her to do what I said before. I won't go back to the group today. I want to rest. Lord. Xia Wan was stunned, while Grandpa Chen, Grandma Chen, and Chen Jun at the dinner table looked at her with some surprise. I want to take a break. Such words actually came from Mo Wan and Mo Dong. This was the first time in history. For a moment, everyone looked at her with some surprise. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm not an Iron Man. I need to rest too. Director Mo smiled and looked at his daughter lovingly. I could only go to F-City once a week when you were there. Now that I'm back, I can't keep busy with work. Chen Jun felt a little warm in his heart. My mother has really changed a lot since I got married. The grandparents at the dinner table saw this scene and smiled with relief. This is what a family should be like. In the past, they were so busy that they couldn't even have a meal at home for 10 days or half a month, and they were so busy that they couldn't even see their children. What's the point of making a lot of money? After lunch, Mr. Mo did not leave to go back to the company, but stayed calmly, holding his brother Mayomio and walking in the hall to digest his food. At this time, the living room was filled with the pungent smell of burning moxa sticks. Fortunately, the air circulation formed by the central air conditioning and the outside world quickly reduced the smell in the air. For those who are new to this smell, it will be very uncomfortable and even disgusting, but my grandparents have long been accustomed to it. Well, the two elderly people also have many minor health problems, and discomfort in the waist and legs is normal. Moxibustion therapy is very effective in the treatment and care of the waist and legs. Over the past few months, in addition to giving moxibustion to her husband every few days, Ms. Mo also comes here from time to give moxibustion and massage to the two elderly people. She also bought some moxa bags for the two elderly people to soak a bag in hot water and then soak their feet every night before going to bed. Of course, most of the time she couldn't come because she was too busy with work, so she asked her personal assistant Wan to come and do it for her. In fact, it would be more appropriate to say that this girl is a junior in Mo Wan's life, outside of the work environment, rather than being a personal assistant assigned to her by Fei Yun Group. Grandpa Chen and Grandma Chen also like this girl very much, and the latter is even busy introducing boyfriends to. Unfortunately, most of the young men around her are playboys. Although they look well-dressed and have decent lives, few of them are trustworthy enough to be explored. Have you entered the circle? In the yard outside the living room, bodyguard Zhao Yi looked deeply at the excessively young man in front of him and asked in a deep voice. Wu Jiantao stood there with a calm expression. He didn't expect that several months had passed, and this young man who called himself King still couldn't cross the threshold of his mind. It seemed that it was rare for him to complete the transformation of his mind so quickly. Well, the boosting effect of that secret spiritual meditation method was also very obvious. Of course, the most important thing is that your mind is clear and thorough. It seems that your inheritance is very complete. Feeling the extremely restrained, profound and majestic energy within Wu Jiantao's body, King Ai's eyes inevitably flashed with envy. After hesitating for a moment, he bowed slightly and said solemnly, "Can you give me some advice on my mental cultivation? I will repay you in the future." Wu Jiantao was stunned. He didn't expect that he would be so humble as to ask him for advice. When he had been with him before, he could feel that this was a very proud young man in his bones. After a moment of silence, he said softly, "Where are you at in your feelings now?" "I can calm down now, but I just can't figure out what I want." "Can't figure it out?" Wu Jiantao was a little surprised. "Yes, I recall the past and have been summarizing and thinking." "No, you are wrong. Thoughts do not need to be summarized, and even less thought about." "No need," King Ai, who had received a Western rational education since childhood, was stunned. "No need to summarize, no need to think. Perhaps you have a very basic misunderstanding of the practice of the mind. The mind does not need to be summarized or thought about. The mind is just there. How do I put it?" Wu Jiantao pondered for a long time before he came up with a word. "This thing in the heart is called life emotion. What's in our heads are concepts, judgments, reasoning, etc. You have misunderstood the practice of the mind. It is not something above the innate as described by Western philosophers. It has never been the way of heaven or any rationality." At this moment, King Ai was like thunder. Mind is the existence of our life's emotion. It cannot be obtained through brain summary and thinking. For example, I advise you not to practice martial arts now because you don't have the talent. I assume that you really don't have the talent, and your rationality tells you that you should let it go. But you don't. The purest and most natural emotion that makes you unable to let go of martial arts is your mind. Don't summarize, don't think. You know exactly what's in your heart. Perhaps you just like martial arts from the bottom of your heart, and you are willing to explore it with passion. Looking at the young man in front of him who was in a strange state, Wu Jiantao finally said nothing more, but turned back to the living room. When evening fell, Chen's father finally showed up, followed by Chen Jun's aunt and uncle, cousins and younger cousins. Well, there were several children who came with them. All of a sudden, the house became very lively. The naughty children were running around in the courtyard, chasing each other and playing. The adults sat together in the living room, surrounded Chen Jun, and asked questions. "Then where's my future brother-in-law? Why is he nowhere to be seen?" After seeing the two babies, a cousin looked around curiously. "I haven't seen him yet. I had a monthly exam before and didn't attend the baby's full moon party, so I haven't seen him yet." Chapter 189, The Chen Family Asks for Subscription and Monthly Ticket Tilda. Not only her, but several other cousins were also very curious. Most of them were about the same age as Chen Jun, and they had also completed their studies and had just started working for a few years. Unfortunately, from childhood to adulthood, whether in academics or current work, they are far inferior to Chen Jun, the other people's child, who was raised by their parents since childhood. By the way, Xiaolong, who lived in the same courtyard with us when we were young, has been asking me about you all these years. A cousin smiled and shook his head. If he knew that, Xiaojun, you are not only married now, but also have a child, I don't know how sad he would be. Xiaolong, I haven't seen you for a long time. What is he doing now? That kid. The cousin smiled and said, after becoming a professional martial artist a few years ago, I founded a martial arts club and formed my own martial arts team. I also told me that I wanted to break the record for the minimum age of a star-level martial artist. Anthracene. Then his martial arts talent should be very good, right? I have seen fellow disciples who practiced martial arts with. They said that Xiaolong's talent in martial arts is one of the best among them. He has the hope of becoming a star-level warrior in the future. If he wants to accomplish something, Yes, he needs to step into the level of whole energy into a circle before he can hope to become a star-level warrior. Enter the circle with whole strength. The young people at the scene were immediately very interested and asked him what it was, but Chen Jun, his cousin, had only heard about it from hearsay, so naturally he couldn't give a more specific explanation. Where's my brother-in-law? He's also a professional warrior, so he must know what this whole energy into a circle is, right? Yes, why is there no one here? Several young people were talking at once. Chen Jun just sat there and smiled calmly. He is in the kitchen preparing dinner for today. Oh. Several young people looked at each other, and all of them showed astonishment on their faces. No way, I heard from my elders that my sister-in-law's family is also a martial arts family. After all, she is a professional martial artist. She can also get the treatment of a tutor at M University, right? Suddenly, the scene became much quieter. Except for a few older young men who had no expression on their faces, the younger ones all had a strange look in their eyes, especially a few girls who were about the same age as Chen Jun, whose eyes flashed with satisfaction. From childhood to adulthood, Chen Jun has always been the most perfect in the eyes of her parents and grandparents. This reference makes their peers very miserable, whether it is their childhood studies or their current studies. That's fine. Tuzg. That beautiful face that looks like a secluded orchid in a valley, that gentle temperament, and those long legs. Look at that waist. Doesn't it look like the waist of someone who just gave birth to 2 babies? Where is Roro? From the moment they arrived at her hometown and saw the 2 lovely babies to the moment they saw Chen Jun's current appearance, her fake cousins, who had always been extremely envious and jealous of her, finally felt a little relieved when they heard her say that Wu Jiantao was actually cooking dinner in the kitchen. At last, I won over her in terms of choosing the right person. The sisters looked at each other, and there was an inexplicable sense of relief in their eyes. If their parents kept nagging about Chen Jun, they finally had something to say. Oh, how can I let my brother-in-law cook for us? I'll tell my dad to ask him to get the chef from our hotel to cook. He is a professional martial artist after all. Hasn't he thought about opening a martial arts club and recruiting students? He can make more money this way. After all, the family needs to support themselves, and the education of the 2 children in the future, including piano, foreign languages, math olympiads, swordplay, and so on. At least 500,000 or 600,000 yuan a year is not enough. Yes, swordsmanship has become more and more popular in the past 2 years. The kids around me don't even learn Chinese martial arts anymore. They all learn swordsmanship. But swordsmanship classes are very expensive now. Just one trial class costs thousands of dollars. The Holy Cross swordsmanship class that our Zixuan is currently enrolled in is the Western Paladin swordsmanship tradition. It has real beliefs, unlike our domestic martial arts, which is empty and has nothing. Several cousins and the brother and sister-in-law sat together, talking to each other. They told Chen Jun that kindergarten and even elementary school are very important for children, that they should go to bilingual kindergartens, that a hobby in swordsmanship should be cultivated from an early age, and so on. She listened in silence. Because of Wu Jiangtao, she had come into contact with many people and things in the martial arts world. She had always thought that martial arts were quite popular in China, but now she heard what her cousins and brothers and sisters-in-law said. It seems that martial arts is not so popular in this country. From what they said, Chen Jun was shocked to find that the most popular things in the country now are Western aristocratic swordsmanship, taekwondo, and karate. As for the Chinese martial arts that have been reborn from blood and fire over the past 100 years. Lenovo launched the Huaxia Martial Arts League A this year, which is even linked to the world's top martial arts competitions. Chen Jun was thoughtful, but didn't say much. It's time for dinner. Several cousins went to the kitchen, and together with Wu Jiangtao, they placed the prepared meals one by one on the large dining table in the yard. Haha, you are all in for a treat. Xiao Tao's cooking skills are no worse than those of real chefs. Grandpa Chen, who sat in the first seat, spoke cheerfully to his children and grandchildren present. That's right, the food Jiang Tao prepared for the full moon banquet last time was definitely the best I have ever eaten. Chen Jun's 4th uncle agreed with a smile. Seeing the 2 old people start eating, their children then called the younger generations to start eating. I've never seen this kind of face before. The cousin who had said before that she would ask the chef from her own hotel to come and cook, looked at the bowl of noodles in the middle and asked curiously, "This is our Q City's unique Pangong braised noodles. As the staple food for tonight, I specially brought the most authentic raw sauce from my hometown. Without this sauce, we can't make the most authentic Pangong braised noodles over there. Come try it, I hope you like it." Wu Jiangtao had just sat down and explained with a smile. Oh, so it's the special delicacy of your place. Cousin Chen Jun nodded, rushed to make some noodles for Grandpa and Grandma, and then invited everyone to eat the noodles together. Finally, I poured myself half a bowl, took a bite with a picky heart, and then my face was stunned. The strong aroma of raw food, the sweet and delicious soup, the soft and delicious noodles, the taste once you put it in your mouth is indescribable, and everyone who has never tasted this kind of taste was attracted at once. Tasty. Isn't this delicious? Chapter 190 Chen Family Feast. Please subscribe and vote. All of a sudden, the whole table was filled with the sound of slurping. After a while, all the noodles in their bowls were eaten up, and even the thick soup in the bowls was drained out. When Chen Jun, the cousin, quickly finished this small bowl of noodles, she looked at the pot with an unsatisfied look. What about noodles? In just a moment, the huge bowl of noodles in front of me disappeared. As we all know, the bowls used for banquets are usually small. This cousin first filled a bowl of noodles for grandparents, and then for other elders and children. When it was her turn, there was actually more than half of the bowl of noodles left. However, she was afraid that she would not be able to get used to the food, so she was very reserved and only had half a bowl of it. She thought to herself that if it didn't taste good, she could still force herself to finish it, and if it did, she would just have more. I can't believe you two are such relatives. Leave some for me. Not much, even half a bowl. The cousin stared at the empty plate with not even a drop of noodle soup left. She looked up at the people at the table speechlessly. Well, everyone who just ate noodles is wiping their mouths. It was the first time for them to eat such delicious noodles, which were very different from the noodles in the north. The old Kyoto's noodles with soybean paste were of course famous all over the country, but the way of eating them was very different from the Pangong braised noodles. The former is noodles alone, with various ingredients and sauces served separately in small plates. Diners can mix their favorite flavors according to their own needs, whether sweet or salty, light or strong. They can eat it any way they want. But the plate of Pangong braised noodles that Wu Jiantao made tonight is completely different. It requires boiling broth and various ingredients such as lean meat, mushrooms, dried shrimps, scallops, oysters, clams, leeks, etc. After all the complicated processes are ready, it is time to cook. Braised noodles are called braised noodles because they are slowly stewed over a low fire, allowing the flavor of the broth and ingredients to penetrate into the noodles. In this way, the noodles will have flavor and the soup will be thick. Braised noodles pay attention to both the heat and the time to eat the noodles. Generally speaking, the noodles should be eaten 3–5 minutes after they are out of the pot, otherwise the noodles will be mushy and will not have that taste. Wow, it's delicious. Really, this is the first time I've eaten noodles of this flavor. It's completely different from the noodles we have in old Kyoto. It's delicious. At the dinner table, the children who had a hard time eating were all ravenous. They raised their heads and looked at the bowl of noodles with an unsatisfied look on their faces. Mom, I want another bowls. That's all. How about you try this pickled pork tenderloin? No, I just want to eat noodles, the delicious noodles just now. It was rare that the naughty kid wanted to eat today, so the adults had to turn to look at Wu Jiantao. Xiao Tao, do you have more noodles? There's still some left in the pot. Wu Jiantao just remembered and went to get it. His cousin, who hadn't had her second bowl yet, stood up quickly and said, No, I'll get it. At this time, Chen Jun frowned, looked at her husband and whispered, Husband, this braised noodles doesn't taste as good as the ones I make at home. The Chen family members next to them. Isn't this delicious enough? Well, we only have one afternoon to make the soup, so it lacks some flavor. Wu Jiantao was a little helpless about what his wife said. Well, she had been eating the meals he cooked for a long time, and her taste had developed. She could even taste such a subtle difference. In fact, there are all kinds of delicious food in Kyoto. They have naturally eaten the special braised noodles from Province M, but this is the first time they have eaten such authentic and delicious braised noodles. Can it be more delicious? Dad Chen couldn't help but glance at his daughter. Yeah, I feel like the taste of the soup base is a little off, Chen Jun said as a matter of course. At the dinner table, the naughty kids who were clamoring for more noodles soon stopped making noise, as their attention was drawn to other dishes, especially the vinegar pork tenderloin. They each grabbed a piece and ate it with their mouths full of oil. There were a lot of dishes on the table, and it wasn't just the Pangong braised noodles that was delicious. Well, due to the problem with the soup base, the taste of the braised noodles was not at its best, but the other dishes were almost perfect. Brush. Afterwards, all the Chen family members at the table were busy eating, and they didn't even have time to chat. Chen Jun's fourth uncle would usually invite everyone to drink some wine, especially Wu Jiantao, who would definitely not be able to escape. However, today, for the first time ever, fourth uncle did not drink any alcohol and just focused on eating. Although it was not the first time he had eaten Wu Jiangtao's cooking, he still found it difficult to control himself. Calmly. It's rare that I eat so cleanly today. Uncle, you're not drinking today. I won't drink it today. My stomach is a bit full. Let me finish the last bit of soup. Fourth uncle stood up and poured away the remaining soup. Oh no, I'm a little full. I need to sit down for a while. Several young people groaned and sat on the sofa in the living room, holding their stomachs, not wanting to move. Grandpa Chen and Grandma Chen ate a lot today, which was rare. They just felt their waists and abdomens warm and comfortable all over. They stood up and walked around in the yard as night fell quietly. The adults had already started to clean up the dishes on the table, including Chen Jun. As for Wu Jiangtao, he was stopped by her as soon as he stepped forward and asked to walk with his grandparents in the yard. Yes, Xiao Tao, you prepared such a delicious meal today. Let them move around a bit so they don't get too full. Come walk with us here. Grandpa Chen smiled and waved to Wu Jiangtao. He could only come over and walk with them in the yard, listening to the two old men asking about their families, Mr. Wu's recent situation, and his current work situation. Yeah, the Chinese martial arts A-level league. This event has been reported frequently recently. It is said that it is going to be integrated with the International Martial Arts Competition Circle. I didn't expect that you would join the level league team of Province M. Not bad. This job is to go on the ring. Will I get hurt? Grandma Chen's focus is naturally different from that of the old man, so she can't help feeling a little worried. Oh, you bitch, Grandpa Chen gave her a dissatisfied look. It's normal for martial artists to get involved in professional competitions and get injured. But you can't just not do this or that because you're afraid of getting injured, right? That being said, I think it's great, Xiao Tao. I think our level league should really showcase the charm of our Chinese martial arts and let those foreigners and Japanese see that our Chinese martial arts are no worse than others. Look at the kids in our family now. They are all participating in Western swordplay and taekwondo. I feel uncomfortable watching them, and I don't understand why China, with a history of 5,000 years and a long history of martial arts, lost. Chapter 191 Evening. Please subscribe and vote. Well, this time the Chinese Martial Arts Association launched the Domestica Level League with such fanfare, in order to revive the prestige of Chinese martial arts in the professional arena and among the people. Wu Jiangtao said with a smile. Grandpa Chen keenly heard the hidden meaning in his words and turned to look at him. Professional arena and civilian arena. He didn't say much, but the old man seemed thoughtful. Yes, although the professional competition circle in the country has not been very good in recent years, there are many martial arts gyms and martial arts clubs all over the country, which has always given people a very contradictory feeling. Obviously, the martial arts professional competition circle has been criticized by cyber trolls, and indeed the results achieved in various international competitions are not as good as those of Dahan and Daying. It's ridiculous. They are two tiny countries derived from Chinese culture, but they put the word big before the name of their country and nation, as if they are afraid that others will say they are small and short. Of course, except for the economic development, these two countries have achieved outstanding results in other areas such as cultural heritage application or martial arts development over the years. At the right time, Mr. Chen also expressed his doubts. Obviously, China has not achieved outstanding results in martial arts competitions, but why does domestic martial arts seem to be developing well? Grandpa, the martial arts competition circle in our country is not the same as the martial arts world. Wu Jiangtao smiled and said, the martial arts competition circle is only a small part of the martial arts world. Even the exchanges between the various martial arts schools and major schools across the country are not carried out through martial arts competitions. Before saying this, Grandma Chen felt tired and went back to sit in the living room. At this time, only Wu Jiangtao and Grandpa Chen were in the yard. Why? Because the young man's eyes suddenly became distant, and he said in a calm tone, in a real arena, there is not only a difference between the superior and the inferior, but also a difference between life and death. It determines both superiority and inferiority, as well as life and death. But isn't the A-League launched this time the same as in the past? No, there is a difference. Wu Jiangtao shook his head and said, before this, professional martial arts competitions had strict protection and rules. You couldn't touch or hit the vital parts of the body. But this time, the level league has been divided into different levels. All the previous competitions can only be considered B-level. As for those routine performance competitions, they are only C-level. The highest A-level league is a true martial arts competition with no restrictions. Every martial artist who takes the stage must sign relevant life insurance and a contract. Mr. Chen was stunned and speechless. What I just said is only spreading in a small circle. When the league officially starts, official news reports will also come out. Wu Jiangtao said calmly. But the old man couldn't help but look at the young man with some worry. Isn't this a level leg too dangerous? It's not bad actually, he said softly. Those who dare to participate in the level league are at least senior masters at the whole strength level, and most of them are star-level masters. At this level of competition, if it's just to determine who's better, at most they'll just get some injuries to their muscles and bones, and they can usually stop. Moreover, the level competitions are also divided into different levels. Besides, the old man seemed very interested in these and kept asking questions. Well, just like in the old days when we had martial arts competitions, there were also levels of hand-to-hand combat, victory and defeat, and life and death. Before going on stage, if the two sides of the competition did not have any special requirements for the competition restrictions, they would generally follow the official default. By default, protective gear can be worn on some very critical parts of the body, such as the genitals, fists, knees, or feet, which need to be wrapped with cloth strips or finger gloves. And if there is a requirement, it is to adjust the competition level. Usually it is lowered. If it is raised, the protective gear on the body will be further removed. This shows that the two parties in the competition have a grudge. Generally speaking, the organizer will send a quasi-grandmaster level warrior to the stage as a referee to separate the two sides at the critical moment of life and death and avoid casualty. Basically, it's still in time, except for some very rare cases. In fact, in a game like this, it's normal for either side to get injured and bleed. The so-called unlimited means that very dangerous parts such as the throat, head, eyes, etc. can also be hit, and these parts will be hit, generally only when using ground techniques in a fight. Generally speaking, in this situation, the referee on the side will immediately separate the two people, and then directly determine that the person who was hit in the throat or vital parts of the head, such as the eyes, has lost the match. Of course, there are points in the game, which can be added or deducted, and once this vital part is touched, no matter how many points you have accumulated before, it will be cleared and you will be declared the loser. International martial arts open tournaments such as karate and taekwondo, which are very well known, are more famous because the rules and regulations have evolved over the years and are reasonable enough, plus the prize money is high. Hearing this, Mr. Chen hurriedly reminded Wu Jiangtao not to rashly agree to adjust the level of the competition, for his own sake as well as that of his family. Wu Jiangtao naturally agreed to this. Grandpa, don't worry, I'm not a martial arts fanatic, so I won't agree. According to the rules of the A-League, if one party disagrees, the other party's request will not be approved and they will have to accept it. Brother-in-law is the method and recipe of the noodles you just made unique to you, or Wu Jiangtao had just come in when Chen Jun's cousin came over and asked about the braised noodles he made tonight. Ah, you mean the Pangong braised noodles. I figured out the recipe myself. Ah, that's great. Can I ask a chef from the hotel our family runs to come and learn from you? He was stunned. Is it convenient? Wu Jiangtao subconsciously glanced at the sofa. There were young people from the Chen family sitting there in groups of 2 or 3. They were all holding their phones. Some were playing games, while others were using tremolo. The sounds of the games and the iconic laughter from the short video could be heard. I have no problem with this, but since there are outsiders coming to our house, you'd better tell your grandparents about this. It's okay. I'll talk to my grandparents and ask the chef from our hotel to come over and cook for you for a few days. It's a deal then. Wu Jiangtao smiled and said nonchalantly, okay. The night gradually deepens. Chen Jun's aunts and uncles left one after another. Even Mr. Mo and Chen's father went back. The courtyard, which was very lively just now, suddenly became much colder and quieter. Chapter 192 Those Years. Please subscribe and vote tilde. When I was giving my grandparents a pedicure and massage just now, I didn't find anything wrong with their bodies. They are in good condition overall. You don't have to worry. Back in the room, Wu Jiangtao changed into his pajamas with a smile and said to his wife, who was feeding his younger sister Daodu. Chen Jun felt relieved. That's good. After not seeing each other for more than a year, she was most concerned about the health of her grandparents, even though her mother said that the two elderly people had been undergoing physical examinations and there was nothing wrong with their health. On the same night, the Security Bureau of F City, M Province in the south, missed one. In the office, a middle-aged man looked solemnly at Yuan Long, who had just returned from the southern continent. Well, we have done it thoroughly. We have dug out all 5 hiding places of Shadow, both overt and covert. The one person we missed is a member of the brigade at the same level as Shadow Fox. He must also master the art of shrinking bones and the art of makeup. I am worried that he might take revenge. Do you think he will sneak into our country to take revenge? No, he won't, Yuan Long said. Tell me what you think. The Shadow Brigade is just a group of people who work together for the sake of profit. Now the tree has fallen and only he is left. Even if I give him 2 guts, he wouldn't dare to come. Maybe he can cause trouble for us in the country, but we can keep him here and cut him into pieces. This is just talk. The brigade that Yuan Long belonged to was originally an Avenger that came out of China, but later connected with the Domestic Security Bureau and became the secret hand of the Chinese Security Bureau in the south. So the most likely way for him to retaliate against us is to cooperate with other brigades. What I am most worried about is that he will use the bone shrinking technique and disguise technique as a reward to let the other party retaliate against us. Tell me your suggestion. The middle-aged man habitually speaks his habitual words. Take the initiative. The morning sunlight poured into the room through the gaps in the curtain, bringing brightness and a touch of warmth to the room. The crisp sound of birds singing could be heard outside the window, and the cooing of pigeons could be heard coming from the roof. Does the neighbor next door raise pigeons? When Wu Jiantao was woken up from his sleep, this thought flashed through his mind. Subconsciously lowering his head, he saw a beautiful face leaning against his chest, and a warm breath blew gently from under the white and straight nose, brushing gently against his neck. A little itchy. Seeing the beauty in front of him, he naturally didn't hesitate and leaned down to kiss her gently. Soon, Chen Jun, with a flushed face, also woke up. She pinched Wu Jiantao's soft waist several times in a reproachful manner, making him grimace. Daodu and Miao woke up once each last night. I didn't sleep well, and you slept like a pig, and now you woke me up. It was just after 6 o'clock, and she was a little grumpy because of having just gotten up. She kept tormenting Wu Jiantao's soft flesh on his waist. Oops, sorry. Someone begged for mercy again and again. After kicking someone again, Chen Jun got up and took out his clothes from the closet. He just retracted an arm that looked like a white lotus root, and before he could take it off, he felt a pair of eager eyes shining from the side. Giving him a fierce look, the girl blushed, picked up her clothes, and went to the bathroom to change. Someone outside was smacking his lips with a look of regret. In the morning, after changing into loose training clothes, Chen Jun came out of the bathroom, while Wu Jiantao had also changed into sportswear. Let's go running together. Yeah, okay. Before going out, they turned on the surveillance in the room and put on sports watches. Well, watches connected to monitoring equipment. Once the 2 babies woke up and made a sound, the watch would vibrate to remind them, and then they would rush back as quickly as possible. The 2 little guys are now more than 4 months old. Although Chen Jun's grandparents are still strong, they are definitely unable to take care of them. I walked out of the room and went downstairs. I heard some noises coming from the kitchen. In the yard, Grandpa Chen was practicing a set of movements similar to the 5 animal exercises. Well, this set of movements was the fitness exercises designed for him by Grandpa Wu before. Wake up, Zhaodu and Miao are awake. Not yet. Arriving in the yard, Chen Jun explained the situation in the room to his grandfather and explained that if the 2 babies woke up, the watches on their hands would remind them, and they would rush back as soon as possible. Oh, I know this, the Internet of Things. Grandpa Chen smiled and waved his hand, and then he saw the 2 young men stretching their bodies in the yard, warming up, and then running out of the gate full of energy. Grandma, let's go out for a run first and come back in about half an hour. The granddaughter's voice came from far away. Grandma Chen responded from the kitchen, come back early, breakfast will be ready soon. Tab. With 2 light footsteps, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun ran in the alleys of the old city at a moderate pace. The pedestrians on the road couldn't help but look at them. It was mainly Chen Jun, especially some elderly people, many of whom had good memories. They recognized Chen Jianizi at once and called out to her. Chen Jun also greeted these elderly people, whom he had not seen for a long time, very enthusiastically. Because the couple were running, they naturally did not stop to chat with these old ladies and grandfathers, nor did they introduce Wu Jiantao next to them. These elderly people were very curious about Wu Jiantao. A few of them had just returned from the vegetable market and passed by Grandpa Chen's house. They even stood at the gate and asked a few questions. Only then did they find out that the young man was the husband of the girl from the Chen family. For a while, the news that Chen Jun brought her husband back spread rapidly in this community through these grandparents. Outside this old neighborhood, in an ancient dojo near the entrance of the street, a young man who looked to be in his 30s had just finished a round of boxing. He walked to the sidelines steaming with excitement, took a sip of water to moisten his dry lips, and casually tapped the screen of his phone on the table. My father hit me. Xiaolong, your goddess since childhood is not only married, but also brought her husband back. Cough, cough, coughs. It was only a small sip of water, but the young man was choked. He bent over and couldn't stop coughing. It took him a while to recover. At the same time, his phone was already in his hand, and he sent a WeChat message. She is married, are you kidding me? My father hit me. Really, I just came back from an all-nighter and saw her jogging with a man on the road, so I sent a WeChat message to Ask Tiger, and he said, Chapter 193, Encounter during morning exercise. Please subscribe and vote for me Tilda. Tiger, their playmate since childhood, is also a neighbor of Chen Jun's hometown. Tiger, who also has the nickname Dad Beat Me, was Chen Jun's secret admirer when he was a child. After so many years, Tiger and Dad Beat Me no longer have the same feelings as before, only Xiaolong still sincerely keeps that thought. When he was young and frivolous, he had pursued her and even confessed his love to her, but the girl just walked away embarrassed. All of a sudden, they went from being able to talk to each other to not even being able to talk to each other. My father hit me. Wait a minute, I saw them stop at the small park next to our house. Let me think about it later. By the way, you can see my TikTok live broadcast. I was saying hello to them. Oh. Hello, my friends, on this beautiful sunny morning with fresh air. I'm back to live streaming. Today, at your request, I'm going to show you a rich man's villa. That's right, it's my home. Wait a minute, I met an old classmate, my schoolgirl goddess. I'll go over and say hello. At the same time, the live broadcast room, which originally had only a few people, suddenly became lively. Wow, what a beautiful girl. Please introduce her to me. So beautiful and elegant. Mom, I'm in love again. Wow, with this figure, this look, this temperament, Liu Yifei can't even compare to her. My mom is asking me why I licked the screen. Why is it gone? Oh, quickly ask for the other person's permission to be in the camera. In reality, the man with dark circles under his eyes came to Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun with his phone in hand, explaining to the fans that he had just taken the photo, accidentally. At this time, he didn't point his phone camera at Chen Jun well. If others don't allow it, he can't take pictures at will, and he can't live broadcast it either. Regarding this, the relevant provisions in the civil code are very clear. If there is a dispute, he will be compensated happily. Chen Jun, it's me, Shen Liken. Do you still remember me, old classmate? Chen Jun, who was walking with Wu Jiantao on the stone road in the park, also saw the person coming and recognized him. Old Shen. Yes, it's me. I'm a game anchor now. Sometimes I also do some other live broadcasts. This morning, I'd like to introduce my home and the surrounding environment to my fans. As he spoke, he pointed proudly at the lush and green garden around him, as well as their villa nearby. Hello. Excuse me, I was live streaming nearby just now, and you accidentally appeared in the camera as you passed by. My fans are all a little excited now. Could you please say hello to my fans? This. Chen Jun was stunned and a little hesitant. Wu Jiantao next to him also frowned slightly and said in a deep voice, Let's forget about this. It's not that he is too stingy. The internet has memory. With his wife's beauty, it would be easy for her to become popular on this live broadcast platform. By then, she would have been cyberbullied in the past, and all kinds of rumors would emerge again. Although it would not cause any substantial harm to their lives, it would be very disgusting. Old Shen laughed awkwardly and could only turn the live camera to himself. He ignored the fans who were swiping the screen and looked at Wu Jiantao, who is. Oh, let me formally introduce him. He is my husband, Wu Jiantao. Oops. The man called Lao Shen immediately let out a strange cry and hurried over to extend his hand to shake hands with Wu Jiantao. Hello, hello. You married the dream lover of all our former classmates. This guy was very enthusiastic and very familiar with them. He talked a lot with them here, especially telling Chen Jun about many old classmates' situations over the years. This one started a company, that one immigrated to the United States, and that one fulfilled his childhood dream of being a martial arts fighter and became a professional martial artist, and opened a martial arts club near their community. It's Xiaolong, you must still remember him, right? When we were in junior high and high school, we went to school with you. Back then, we were all protectors. Of course, he remembers. Chen Jun smiled slightly. Oh yeah, our old high school classmates are planning to get together soon. Do you want to come? Okay. A beautiful smile also appeared on her face. She hadn't contacted many old classmates for some time. Most of them had changed their numbers and could not be added on WeChat. Then add me on WeChat and I'll add you to our high school classmates group. Well, most of them are from our street, so you must know them all. As for those who are far away, we can't get in touch with them even if we want to. Okay, having said that, Chen Jun smiled and said goodbye to this old classmate, waved to her, and ran away with Wu Jiangtao. Old Shen was still standing far away, staring blankly at the figure that was gradually going away. Memories from the time of youth are always beautiful and will often accompany us for a lifetime. The girls we chased together all those years seem to have changed, and yet haven't changed at all. Isn't there a line in a song? You must have kept that smiling face after not seeing it for a long time. Even though so many years have passed, he no longer has the same feelings as before, and he has long since given up that unrealistic thought after all the setbacks over the years. But when he looks at this person again, there were thousands of complex feelings in my heart, surging in my heart. He found that the girl had not changed. Her eyes were still as serious and pure as before. Yes, these old classmates have been asking about her and discussing her. They know that she has always been very good at studying and is still working in a research institute as a master's student. She has always been pursuing the life she wants with a clear goal, but what about her classmates? Inexplicably, a bitter smile appeared on old Shen's face. Yes, among all the old classmates, only Xiaolong was infected by her spirit and personality. He dropped out of school and devoted himself to the pursuit of martial arts. Now he is also a senior professional martial artist. Many people have changed, but some have not. When he turned around to continue the live broadcast, Lao Shen picked up another mobile phone, logged into WeChat, and sent a message to Xiaolong. Dad hit me, it's confirmed, that man is really her husband. Take care, buddy. Really? My father hit me and said, what good would it do me to lie to you? By the way, didn't we say before that our old classmates in this area wanted to have a reunion? I specifically asked her about it, and she said that if she had nothing else to do, she would definitely come. I will never let you down. Chapter 194, First Love. Please subscribe and vote tilde. As soon as Wu Jiangtao and Chen Jun returned home, they immediately went back to the room to check on Daodu and Miao Miao. Well, the two little guys are still sleeping in and haven't woken up yet. Although Daodu and Miao Miao are now more than 4 months old, thanks to Wu Jiangtao's care, the two babies are growing well, have good spirits, good reactions, and their growth and intellectual development are very good. However, the two babies' sleep time has not yet fully formed a circadian rhythm. Now they basically get up once every night, and sometimes they don't even get up at all. Just like last night, the two babies woke up one after another. Fortunately, the interval between waking up was not too long, so Chen Jun actually only woke up once. In addition, she is now practicing Tibetan yoga, and her sleep quality is very high, so waking up once at night does not have much impact on her. After returning to the room and changing out of his sportswear, Wu Jiangtao turned to look at his wife beside him, watching her occasionally leaking when she changed clothes. Hate it tilde turn around tilde. Chen Jun couldn't stand it anymore. Before she even changed her clothes, she couldn't help but reach out and push someone's face to the other side. Go, go, go. Snap. Wu Jiangtao grabbed her hand and gently pulled it, and it was filled with fragrance and tenderness. Since it's been delivered to our door, we will naturally accept it with joy. After another round of commotion, Chen Jun finally put on her clothes and began to practice Tibetan yoga in the morning. By the way, your old classmate I just met, the classmate named Xiaolong he mentioned in his words, seems to have a special relationship with you. He pretended to be indifferent. Oh, you mean Xiaolong? He is the one I used to. Chen Jun stood on the yoga mat, stretched his body, did a very stretching and soft movement, said something naturally, then realized something was wrong and immediately turned around to look over. Tilde, why are you asking this? She widened her beautiful eyes and looked at someone with an unnatural look on his face. It's okay, just asking. Someone still pretended to be indifferent. Really? Chen Jun stopped the yoga poses on her hands, came closer and looked at him curiously, with a smile on her lips. What else? Wu Jiangtao still insisted. Hey, do you smell it? What? I don't know who put the vinegar jar in our room. I smell a strong smell of vinegar. What are you doing? Someone finally got so angry that he overturned. Not the table, but a girl. How also? Chen Jun couldn't help laughing out loud, looking at Wu Jiangtao's embarrassed expression with a happy face. You are actually jealous. You are actually jealous. What? Someone said he didn't want to talk and suddenly lined down. What? After a while of biting, Chen Jun finally broke free from the devil's clutches and returned to her yoga mat with a slightly angry and bright red face. She almost lost her temper just now. But at the critical moment, someone still braked. Well, the girl's tantric yoga is now at a critical stage. She must not break her record at this time, Otherwise, the accumulated merit will be lost, and the subsequent practice will enter a long period of slowdown, and this kind of fast and steady improvement will no longer exist. Wait, the girl sitting near the balcony couldn't help laughing out loud. She finally straightened out her breath, calmed down, and began to practice Tibetan yoga. Wu Jiantao also stood on the balcony and began to stand in a posture. Actually, he was just a classmate I didn't know very well. We were in junior high school for 3 years and in high school for 3 years. We could talk a few words when we met, but when we graduated from high school, he did something that made me speechless and embarrassed. Let me guess, he confessed his feelings to you, didn't he? Chen Jun was a little surprised and couldn't help but turn her head to look at her husband. How did you know? Wu Jiantao smiled. Perhaps he didn't understand these things very well back then, but he understood them very well after entering university. Confession is never the beginning, but the ending. Especially when the relationship is still very unfamiliar, no one will accept a sudden confession. Of course, there are also accidents, that is, the blind cat happens to hit the dead mouse, and the girl happens to have already fallen in love with you. That's another story. Generally speaking, if you can fall in love during your school years, it means that your appearance is much higher than the average. Youth is beautiful. No, only those who are good-looking can have this kind of beauty. Youth is actually quite cruel, because this stage is an extremely cruel period where looks, body shape, and height are looked at purely, and it is a period of competition based on ancestral inheritance. No matter how rich your family is, it will not help. Therefore, the prerequisite is that the appearance, figure, and height must be good, so that the relationship can be further strengthened. This is an ambiguous period, and young girls will generally be more hesitant. It is better not to confess at this time. Be more attentive and considerate, give more compliments, make more self-deprecating remarks, and just keep watching. As the girl slowly becomes immersed in the feeling and becomes pleased, the balance will naturally tilt towards success, and everything will fall into place naturally. Simply put, confession is always a song of victory, not a clarion call to charge. At that time, the young boys didn't understand these things at all. They always took the 1 or 2 unintentional glances and the nods and smiles as a close relationship. They always thought that the other party was interested in them and liked them, so they conquered themselves and fell in love with them. As a result, they made the biggest mistake and confessed their love right away. At that moment, there was no such thing as the beauty of youth, no such thing as the shyness of flying skirts and the determination of wearing snow-white shirts. There was only inconsolable embarrassment and speechlessness. This lesson, unforgettable. By the time they reached university, the boys with higher emotional intelligence finally recovered and realized how stupid their past behavior was. They began to improve themselves and were ready to start hunting with full confidence, but they did not expect the new era green tea wave to come flooding in. Well, the two sides had a very friendly and bloody discussion, an exchange, innocence and materialism intertwined, ideals and reality pulled. Houses and cars were like dreams out of reach. Yes, after that, I didn't even join the class WeChat group for fear of running into him. In the following 4 years of college, I went home every time I had a holiday, and I ran into him a few times by chance, but I didn't dare to talk to him for fear that he would do something that I couldn't expect. It was so embarrassing. Chen Jun said softly while practicing yoga. Wu Jiantao was also speechless after hearing this. Well, I thought he was. What do you think he is? Just when we are young, we all have an ignorant and heart-pounding first love. Anyway, he had already lost all shame, so he just said it straight out. Chapter 195, Rejection of Request for Subscription and Monthly Ticket tilde. Understood. Chen Jun suddenly understood. No wonder he was so nervous. He was afraid that he would meet his first love and then suddenly suffer a bloody disaster. She burst out laughing and rolled her eyes at her husband. What are you thinking? Nowadays, online writers don't write such cliché stories, okay? What are you thinking? Isn't there a saying that goes, girls can never forget their old loves? Someone made a convincing argument. Haha, I remember there was another sentence. Boys can't resist new love. Do you think I'm out of my mind or kicked by a donkey to leave you, a delicate beauty, at home and go out to find a new lover? Chen Jun gave him a look, letting him figure it out for himself. Suddenly, she seemed to remember something and asked indifferently, "And you?" "What about me?" Wu Jiantao stood on the balcony, holding the pole and feeling the energy circulating in his body. His eyes slightly narrowed, and he did not notice the faint scrutiny in the girl's eyes when he looked at him. "Why don't you tell me?" There was a sly flash in the girl's eyes. "About your first love." Wu Jiantao. He opened his eyes in surprise on the balcony, only to see the girl not far in front of him looking at him indifferently, with the unkindness in her eyes very obvious. No, how does this involve me? For a moment, he didn't know what to say. What? After the morning exercise, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun came down from upstairs, one holding two little ones and the other holding a baby bed. Come and eat, come and eat. In fact, when Wu Jiantao came back from jogging just now, he went to the kitchen to make breakfast, but was chased out by Grandma Chen, who said that she had always been the one making breakfast at home and asked him to look after the baby, and didn't let him do anything at all. He had no choice but to leave. Come try this pan-fried bun I made specially. As she spoke, Grandma Chen smiled and put a plate of buns on the dining table. The bottom of the buns on the plate were slightly burnt yellow, and the rich aroma of flour was mixed with a faint aroma of meat sauce, which made people's appetite increase. My little Jun has always loved the pan-fried dumplings I made. The old man smiled and said this. Wu Jiantao was slightly stunned and kept this in mind. At the same time, he also understood why he was not allowed to make breakfast in the morning and had to do it himself. Then I must taste it. He quickly stretched out his chopsticks, picked up one and put it in his bowl, and started eating without any hesitation. Pick it up with chopsticks, put it in your mouth, and take a light bite. The slightly brown part on the bottom is crispy, while the inside is soft and tender. As soon as you bite it, the aroma of the meat immediately fills your lips and teeth. It is crispy and refreshing. Wu Jiantao's eyes light up immediately. This taste is indeed delicious. Wells. Grandma Chen knew that the young man in front of her was a first-class chef, and that ordinary food would hardly please him. He quickly finished the pan-fried bun in the bowl. Then he let out a sigh of relief and said to Grandma Chen, "It's delicious, very delicious. This is the first time I've eaten such delicious pan-fried buns, Tilda." Really? The old lady laughed happily, but she said, "You can't say that just to please an old lady like me. No, this is the first time I've eaten such delicious fried buns, especially the fillings, pork, green onions, ginger, The taste of the 5-spice powder is very special. You can actually make this." Grandma Chen looked at him in amazement. "You are worthy of being a great chef. This 5-spice powder at home is made by an old shop in our community. It has been passed down for generations and tastes very good. Coupled with the unique method of our family, we can make this taste." "Oh, Grandma, can I learn how to make this pan-fried bun from you?" Ha, sure. When you guys go back, you can make it for Ninny at home, so she won't keep saying on the phone that she misses the pan-fried dumplings I make. In addition to the pan-fried dumplings in the morning, Grandpa Chen went to a breakfast shop at the entrance of the alley in the community and bought a few bowls of spicy soup. Hulatang is the most popular breakfast soup in the whole north, including Kyoto. Just like the most common soy milk and fried dough sticks in the south, the authentic hulatang does not use chili peppers but only pepper. Don't be fooled by its inconspicuousness. It contains ingredients such as minced beef, black fungus, gluten, etc. Just one sip of it is hot and spicy without burning your stomach, and it is smooth, mellow, and warms your body. This taste not only gave Wu Jiantao a very unique feeling, but also made him fall in love with the unique breakfast diet in the north. How is it? Are you used to it? After breakfast, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun cleaned up the dishes together. While washing the dishes at the sink in the corner of the yard, the girl asked in a low voice, "It's delicious. I like it very much." He smiled. Just after washing the dishes, the old man who was pacing in the yard suddenly came over and said to them helplessly, "Yesterday, Zyoro asked you to let someone come over to learn how to make that braised noodles with you, but I refused." Oh. Wu Jiantao was slightly stunned. Just when he was about to say something, he saw the old man in front of him waving his hand. "My relatives are my relative. If her family encounters any trouble, you are not needed. We elders will definitely help. But asking the chef of our own hotel to come and learn how to cook, isn't this clearly taking advantage? How can there be such a good thing?" "Thank you, Grandpa." Actually, Wu Jiantao didn't take this to heart. Anyway, he was not engaged in the catering industry, nor did he rely on it for a living. Chen Jun's cousin asked someone to learn how to make pangong braised noodles, so he came to learn. However, through this matter, the interactions between the two sides at the level of relatives would only be limited to nodding and greeting each other when they met. Forget about having any other interactions. It was because the other party was Chen Jun's cousin that Wu Jiantao couldn't refuse her on the spot. If it was his own relative in his hometown, he would definitely have refused directly. "Let's talk business. Since you want to learn how to make this dish and put it on your hotel's menu, Wu Jiantao must get the compensation he deserves." On the side, Chen Jun didn't know about this and looked at them with some confusion. When her grandfather said that, she couldn't help but frowned. How could she do this? It's okay. Didn't Grandpa help to turn it down? If your cousin really thinks that this braised noodle dish has enough commercial value, I think she should take a more reasonable approach to talk to me. Don't think too much. Having said that, Chen Jun was still a little angry. When she was a child, her cousin liked to take advantage of others. Unexpectedly, after so many years, she not only did not improve in this regard, but became even worse. There will be another update in the evening, Tilda. Chapter 196 Classmates Reunion. Please subscribe and vote. After being blocked by Grandpa Chen from the matter with her cousin Chenru, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun's life in her hometown in Kyoto became a warm daily routine of taking care of the children and respecting the two elderly people. As Wu Jiantao met and chatted with his neighbors more and more often, they gradually learned that the boy Chen Jun married came from a martial arts family and was a very promising young professional martial artist. Not only that, he also taught at the martial arts department of M University in M Province. In the community, in the WeChat group formed by Xiaojun's old classmates, one day Lao Shen suddenly came online and sent a message of depth bomb level. My father hit me. Chen Jun is married. I will definitely live up to this love. No tears expression. I still don't want to believe it. King Wu Feiyang, who? King Wu Feiyang, Chen Jun. No way, she is such a proud person. Who can she look down on? Shuang, she got married. God, it's hard to imagine what she was like when she got married. I'm 1 year older than her. Oh, alas, these days all the good men are married. 17 that year. No way. Chen Jun is getting married. Who among you received the red envelope bomb? Has anyone been to the wedding? Suddenly, the old classmates who were shocked said that they had not received any information, and no one of them went to the wedding. Shuang, that's not right. Logically, we are still old classmates after getting married. It's such a big deal. Even if we haven't been in touch for so many years, we can't have no news at all after getting married. Some of the old classmates immediately noticed something was wrong. After all, they lived in the same community. Although they didn't see each other every day, they saw each other at least twice a day when they were in elementary school. Even if they hadn't been in touch for several years, it would be normal not to send a red envelope bomb. But this person was Chen Jun. How come she was a big shot in our alley in school back then, but she got married and even brought her husband to our hometown before letting everyone know about such a big thing? 17 that year. I feel like there's something wrong here. My father hit me, I know. If I tell you, your eyes will fall to the ground. For a while, the Weixin group was filled with excitement. Hurry up and tell me. Otherwise, I'll really hit you. Good son, tell your father quickly. If you tell your father, I won't beat you. God damn it, just tell me what's going on. Oh, my father hit me. Alas, our goddess did something earth-shattering. It is said that I also heard from my second aunt that in order to prevent her family from arranging her own marriage, our goddess arranged a grandson for Mr. Mo and Director Chen in advance. 17 that year, black question mark. Frost and black question mark. King Wu Feiyang's black question mark. I will definitely not let you down. Black question mark. Oh. In the WeChat group, a row of black question mark emojis were neatly displayed, and the old classmates in the group could feel each other's confusion across the screen. My father hit me. Forget it. I'll try to add her to the group, and everyone can ask her in person. Shuang, hehe, hurry up and add her to the group. Such a big thing happened, but she didn't even tell me, her old deskmate. This is really unacceptable. Soon a prompt Jun has joined the group chat, appeared on the WeChat group interface. Shuang, at Jun, my old deskmate, we haven't seen each other for many years, but you can still surprise us. Jun, ONNO, long time no see everyone. I will definitely live up to this feeling of longing. Long time no see. Speaking of asking, in fact, no old classmates in the group asked her the whole story and reason of having a child out of wedlock. After all, so many years have passed, and everyone has long lost the familiarity and carefreeness they once had. After all, how they live their lives is their business. Now they have even returned to my hometown. They are doing well now. It's enough to know some gossip. Why bother asking why? Is it annoying? Most of my classmates have been in the society for several years and know what to ask and what not to say. If it were just an ordinary old classmate, it would be fine. But Chen Jun is really different. In the past, this difference was only reflected in her appearance and academic performance. And now it is reflected in Mr. Mo and Director Chen. We are not rookies anymore. The Kyoto community is big and small, so we should not say anything that is not appropriate. It is easy to cause unnecessary trouble for ourselves. After telling everyone that he would be getting married during the spring festival at the end of the year and welcoming all old classmates to attend, Chen Jun didn't say much. He reminisced about the past with several old classmates, asked when the class reunion would be held, and told them to definitely attend if they were free, and then disappeared. After she stopped talking, the entire WeChat group fell silent, and for a moment it felt strangely deserted. In a blink of an eye, a week has passed. During this period, Chen Jun attended a reunion of her old high school classmates and reminisced about the past. Well, Xiaolong, whom she had been avoiding meeting in the past, also came. It was not as awkward as expected. When Chen Jun really faced this old classmate, he found that he was just treating him as a friend from the past, nothing more. As for the other person staring at her intently, she turned a blind eye to it. In fact, among the old classmates, most of the boys couldn't help but look at her a few more times. So many years have passed, but they didn't expect that the goddess that these boys admired back then was still as charming as before. They even felt that the tranquility on her face was no different from the past. At the party, Chen Jun's old desk mate teased her. How could your husband be so confident in letting you come alone to attend the party with old classmates? She did not understand the underlying meaning of this sentence, but just felt that the boys' laughter was very harsh. In the past, I had always been concentrating on my studies. I didn't even know how to drive and had never been exposed to any Liu Bei jokes. Naturally, I didn't understand the meaning of this old deskmate's words. Hold a class reunion if you have nothing to do. Break up any couple that is left, and class reunions are for reminiscing about something. After this party, Chen Jun no longer planned to invite them to her wedding. Although this old classmate said this as a joke, Chen Jun felt disgusted when he understood the underlying meaning after returning home. In her memory, her former deskmate was a very considerate girl with a charming smile. Now she was wearing fashionable clothes and looked capable and mature. At first, she felt that she had changed a lot, but later, her manner of drinking, laughing, and telling various Liu Bei jokes with the boys made her feel extremely unfamiliar. Chapter 197, Visiting the Mentor Asking for Subscriptions and Monthly Tickets. Life changes like flowing water. After all, everyone is a companion in the memories of youth. Chen Jun is just a calm person, not a heartless person. Naturally, he misses the youthful years he spent with everyone in the past. On this day, after Chen Jun finished her daily morning class of Tibetan yoga practice, she packed up some of the baby's clothes, diapers, thermos cups, and the like. After breakfast, she said goodbye to her grandparents and left the house with Wu Jiantao, pushing Daodu and Miao. In the past, whenever I went home, I would basically go sit with her and see her. The she that Chen Jun was talking about was her homeroom teacher, who taught her for 3 years in high school. Teacher Yi taught me a lot, especially in terms of thinking, and gave me a lot of inspiration. Wu Jiantao listened with great interest as the girl talked about many things in her past high school life, of course, mainly about study. Learning is your own business. You should control your own pace, rather than just following the pace set by our teachers in school. Can learning without your own ideas be called learning? That's like being a puppet. Wu Jiantao was slightly stunned when he heard this. This is quite interesting. This is what she said to us in my first class when I just entered high school. At that time, most of the students in the class didn't understand it at all, but I understood it. Chen Jun said calmly. She said that we can still learn in a confused way in junior high school, but starting from high school, we must study independently and control ourselves so that we can truly understand what learning is. You are so lucky to have such a teacher in high school. Wu Jiantao nodded. His wife, a high school teacher, was indeed amazing. It was quite rare among teachers to have such teaching thinking. Chen Jun, a high school teacher, teaches mathematics and is also a certified professional Go player. It was also under the influence of this teacher that she did not study according to the school's teaching schedule since her first year of high school, fully developed her amazing learning ability, and had more time to cultivate her hobby dancing. She even represented the school in a dance competition among Kyoto middle schools in her senior year and won runner-up. Teacher Yi also personally organized study seminars in his spare time and constantly encouraged students to organize their own. At that time, I still remember a lot of things she said. She said that when studying, don't always think about how many points you want to get. It's like a math formula. From learning to understanding to mastering it, we actually know it well at every stage. Indeed, Wu Jiantao felt most deeply about this point. This was very similar to the practice of martial arts. Once you know it, you know it. You cannot be vague or fake it. She doesn't force the poor students in our class to have good grades, but she requires them to learn how to develop their own learning abilities. Well, she always says that learning is a lifelong thing. Although the current school environment has been destroying our interest in learning, the environment is the environment and individuals are individual. We cannot change the environment, so we should change ourselves and start with ourselves. Pushing the stroller, the two walked in the alley. Wu Jiantao couldn't help but look at his wife beside him. It was the first time he saw her admire someone so much and say so many words. It seems that you respect this teacher Yi very much. Well, she gave me a lot of inspiration. Chen Jun's face showed a hint of reminiscence. What impressed me most was what she said to the female students in our class who were not doing well in their studies. I have always believed that a woman's first attribute is that she is a human being, and her second attribute is that she is a woman. As a person, her dignity, life value, self-realization, and other essential meanings of life are no different from those of men. Hearing these words, Wu Jiantao was shocked and moved. After walking for about 10 minutes, they arrived in front of a small courtyard. Ding dongs, ding dong. Chen Jun walked up and rang the doorbell. Soon, footsteps were heard in the yard. The door creaked open, and a woman in her 40s appeared in front of them. Teacher Yai. Chen Jun shouted excitedly. Xiaojun, when did you come back? Come on, come in. This is. The female teacher was so happy when she suddenly saw her most proud student. Just as she was about to welcome them in, she saw the stroller pushed by Chen Jun and the two little ones lying in the stroller. Wow, so cute, they look exactly alike. Are they twins? Yes, they are twins. Oh, they are twins, a boy and a girl. Whose babies are they? Teacher Yi looked at the two little guys, then turned to look at Chen Jun beside him. He thought the two little guys were the children of one of Chen Jun's sisters, but he heard the girl in front of him couldn't help laughing. Mind. Oh, yours, congratulations, huh? Teacher Yi just said a few words of congratulations, and then he was completely stunned when he realized what was happening. Hey, this, are you married? No, when you came to my house last year, weren't you still? Teacher, let's go in and talk. Okay, come in quickly. Tell me what's going on. You. After understanding the whole story, Teacher Yi didn't know what to say. In fact, when it comes to the issue of early love in high school, she and Mr. Mo are in the same camp. They both believe that children should study hard during this period, learn to preserve the beauty in their hearts, and then pursue it in college. But I didn't expect that Mr. Mo would interfere so strictly with Chen Jun during her college years. In addition, Chen Jun was rebellious to begin with, which eventually led to the current situation. Fortunately, from now on, this result is a positive one. Well, even though it was the first time that Teacher Yi met Wu Jiantao, he knew that this young man was not bad when he saw his clear eyes and his neither humble nor arrogant demeanor. Having taught for many years, she may not be able to accurately judge the older Teacher Yi, but she can always accurately judge young people. Unlike the general elders who would ask about family, work, income, etc., Teacher Yi asked the two young people who was taking care of the two babies whether they had added complementary food, etc. When Teacher Yi learned that they were taking care of the two babies themselves, and even Wu Jiantao was the one who prepared 3 meals a day, he was immediately amazed. There are still some young people nowadays who can cook, but not many of them can take care of their children by themselves. Nowadays, raising children absolutely requires the ultimate in comprehensive qualities in terms of mental strength, physical strength, patience, and endurance. Chapter 198, I sincerely ask for subscription and monthly ticket tilde. The more in-depth the conversation with the two young men in front of him, the more surprised and happy Teacher Yi, who had just entered his 40s, became. Although like most girls of the same age who are married and have children, in the process of taking care of the baby, she can't help but complain about the old confinement customs that have continued to this day, and can't help complaining that the confinement period is almost equivalent to breastfeeding without sleep. She also confessed that she had emotional breakdowns several times and even turned around and ran away hysterically. But this person who has experienced this is very pleased to see that both Chen Jun and the boy named Wu Jiantao are trying very hard to be a good mother and a good father. No matter how they did it, at least their attitude was sincere and firm, and they took concrete actions. Seeing you like this now, I, the teacher, feel relieved. Teacher Yi took Chen Jun's hand, patted it gently on the back of her hand, and said with a smile, even if you are dissatisfied with your mother's interference in your life during college, you can't do this. You see, you are just lucky to meet Xiao Wu, if it was someone more irresponsible. The girl stuck out her tongue and subconsciously turned her head to glance at her husband, only to see him wink at her imperceptibly and raise his chin. Listen, I am a responsible and great man. Chen Jun gave him a barely perceptible look, but ignored him and listened obediently to his mentor's teachings. I have to say that what Mr. Yi said was not particularly unique or touching, but inexplicably, it had a peculiar charm that made people listen to it pleasantly. During the conversation, she even hugged the two babies. Her eyes narrowed into slits as she smiled as her arms were filled with the scent of milk. By the way, teacher, I remember that you have always liked tea from the south. This is Taiguanian from my husband's hometown. As she spoke, Chen Jun took out a tea box gift package from under the stroller in the living room. Oh. Teacher Yi was stunned at first, then angrily said, I'm very happy that you can bring 2 babies to see me. Why do you bring gifts? I won't accept them, take them back. Teacher, this is just some local specialty tea. It's not something very expensive. Just accept it with confidence. The teacher wanted to refuse, but Chen Jun kept explaining that the tea was not expensive and put down the tea gift box very firmly, so she had no choice but to accept it. Iron Guanyin, I've heard of it, but I've never tried it. Teacher Yi, you can try it. I heard from Xiaojun that the most popular drinks here are Bailuochun and Xinyang Maojian. Well, I used to drink these two most of the time. In recent years, Taiguanian has become more and more famous. More and more people around me are drinking Taiguanian. I have to say, when it comes to doing business, Southerners are the best. Teacher Yi shook his head. There is a tea chain brand from Province M in the commercial street outside our community. Although they also sell other teas, their main product is Taiguanian, and the best-selling one is also Taiguanian. This tea is not cheap. I heard from Teacher Wu that a pound of good quality tea costs thousands of yuan. You should take it back. It's too expensive. No, teacher, this tea is from my husband's hometown. You see, this gift box was also bought separately. There are no brand or chain logos on it. It's not that expensive. You can accept it with confidence. Chen Jun complained, and it took some time for her mentor to accept the box of tea. After serving the tea, the couple did not stay any longer. Instead, they stood up, said goodbye to Teacher Yi, and left with their 2 babies. Standing at the door, watching Chen Jun and Wu Jiantao hurriedly leave, Teacher Yi couldn't help but shook his head and laughed. This girl. I guess he left in a hurry, because he was afraid that I would refuse the tea again, right? Alas, me too. If you accept it, why tell her this? Don't be polite next time, lest she leaves in such a hurry again. It would be better to stay a little longer. After closing the door and returning to the living room, she couldn't help but pick up the box of tea and looked at it over and over again. Indeed, there was no big brand logo on it, and the packaging was not very exquisite. When she opened it, she saw small packages of tea bags with Huazia Taiguanian simply written on them, and the words Zhengyun were written on the side. What? She thought to herself that this tea didn't seem to be very expensive. Nowadays, the packaging of better teas is quite high-end and classy. Even if it looks simple on the outside, once you open the package, you can definitely tell what low-key luxury is. The tea in his hand also had a simple inner packaging. Seeing this, the teacher was slightly relieved. It seemed that this tea was just a specialty. It should be good from its place of origin, but it was very expensive. It probably can't be reached yet. As she thought this, she took out a few small packets and put them in her handbag. I made a pack of tea after class in the afternoon. After all, it was a gift brought by her favorite student, so it naturally held a completely different position in her mind. Sometimes I forget some people, but more often I remember many people. On the way back, Chen Jun teased the 2 babies who had just woken up, while happily speaking her heart out to her husband beside her. Like Teacher Yi in my mind, she is not only my former math teacher, not only my homeroom teacher, but more like my mentor. Although she did not give me any special treatment or special training during those 3 years in high school, I have always remembered many of the things she said on the podium. Wu Jiantao smiled and nodded, then took her hand and squeezed it vigorously. I understand. Although I didn't meet a teacher like her when I was in junior high and high school, from the conversation just now, I can feel that she really cares about you and every student. Yes, with all my heart. She sighed and said softly, sometimes, I even think that if I hadn't met Teacher Yi during my 3 years of high school, I would definitely not be able to get to where I am today in my studies. Well, it is not as simple as teaching, imparting knowledge, and answering questions. In a small sense, it is a kind of spiritual power infection. In a big sense, it is the passing on of the torch. Because of this, Chen Jun truly understood what learning is and found his own goals. Then, during the 4 years at M University, he further formed his own ambitions and ideals and achieved his current academic achievement. Compared to her, Wu Jiantao's rapid progress in martial arts and the growth of his character in the past 6 months stemmed from the inheritance of the martial arts spirit in his family. Of course, the trigger was not at home, but Chen Jun. If it weren't for Chen Jun's spark that made his martial arts determination spread like wildfire, Wu Jiantao's progress in martial arts would not have been so smooth. Chapter 199. Noble people tend to forget things. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket tilde. This is how growth works at every stage of life. It always promotes and achieves each other. Chen Jun's family environment in her childhood promoted her independence and strong character, while Teacher Yi stimulated her learning ability, influenced, and made her what she is today. Such a life cannot be imperfect. Unfortunately, no one is perfect, and Chen Jun became more and more stubborn and impulsive. God has given her all the good things, but her emotional impulsiveness should have made the rest of her life unsatisfactory, and it would have been impossible for her to have a good love or even marriage. However, at a critical turning point in her life, she met Wu Jiantao. The boy also received this kind of spiritual infection from her, and it was this kind of communication between hearts that led to their current sweet relationship and promoted the peace and harmony of this small family of 4. Be careful, be careful. When this word was mentioned, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun looked at each other and smiled, without saying much. Live life with all your heart. This sentence only consists of 4 simple words, but it is extremely difficult to do. The times are changing, and people are becoming more impetuous. Today's young people are more likely to find their sense of existence in study or work. Even more people have no interest in learning, or stay at home playing games, or hanging out in bars day and night. Pleasure. Wu Jiantao, who found his heart in martial arts, naturally understood the true meaning of the word care. Every time he cooked at home, bathed the 2 babies, washed clothes, and did housework with Chen Jun, they experienced the refreshing joy in this ordinary life. Thinking carefully about his parents, Wu Jiantao now deeply understands how difficult it was for his mother. When he was a child, his mother took care of his life and how he studied. As for his father, he was either busy practicing boxing or busy at the martial arts school. He was often not at home. In his opinion, except for sleeping, his father was basically devoted to the martial arts school and his martial arts practice day and night. As for family life and martial arts practice, they were separated. But can it really be separated? No. Even in daily life at home, Dad Wu's heart is in the martial arts gym, always thinking about the boxing stance, picking up the bowl at the dinner table to eat and putting it down to leave. As for Wu Jiantao's studies, he only pays attention to his grades when he is going to the next grade or at the end of the semester. Once he encounters any problems, he will say to Mom Wu, "Look at what you have spoiled this brat into." At this time, Wu's mother certainly wouldn't spoil him. And now, Wu Jiantao thought back to the past and felt that his father's inability to break through the martial arts realm might have something to do with this. He has figured out something in his mind, maybe not enough to summarize something deeper, but he has already realized something. There is practice everywhere in life. Obviously, Dad Wu overlooked a crucial point, that is, he did not concentrate when he was at home. In the practice of martial arts, the body and bones have limits, but the mind is unlimited. Obviously, the reason why Wu Dad has not been able to take the final step in martial arts is that his infinite heart has nowhere to go. Although his son has grown up and has started a family, his heart is still constrained by this without him realizing it, and he has been unable to break through. On the contrary, Wu Jiantao's martial arts aspirations returned here because of Chen Jun. Wherever his mind goes, even metal and stone will be moved. In the evening, Mr. Mo, exhausted from a day's work, walked in alone and called out to Grandpa Chen, who was sitting in the yard sweeping the floor. "Dad." "Well, you're here." The old man looked up at his daughter-in-law and asked with concern, "You must be exhausted. Go sit down and have a rest. Dinner will be served soon." "Okay." Nodding, the woman who had returned home and no longer concealed her tiredness, walked through the yard, came to the living room and sat down, letting out a long breath. "Mom." Here, Chen Jun just came down from upstairs holding her brother Mio, and they were on the baby bed in the living room. The 2 babies woke up in the afternoon and played for a long time. They had just had their diapers changed and were fed, and now they were sleeping in a daze again. Mo Wan didn't want to talk, so she just collapsed on the sofa, closed her eyes, and felt sleepy and hungry. Chen Jun came over quickly, stood behind her and rubbed her temples. "Do you have a headache again?" "No, I'm just tired." "Moms, you lied to me again." Chen Jun frowned slightly, remembering what Wu Jiantao had said before, that massaging those acupuncture points could dredge the meridians in the head and relieve pain. He opened both palms at the same time and pressed his thumbs on the obvious sunken spot behind his mother's ear. This is the Fengchai point. According to traditional Chinese medicine, this is the place where wind evil accumulates. It is the main cause of stroke, hemiplegia, and Shaoyang headache. Pressing and rubbing this point can relieve headaches. At the same time, she moved her slender fingers forward and touched the depressions on the left and right outer ends of the eyebrows on the front of her face. This point is called Sijukang point. Massaging here can not only treat headaches, but also treat red and swollen eyes and relieve eye fatigue. As soon as the daughter started, she pressed these 2 acupuncture points and massaged them symmetrically. Mr. Mo immediately felt that his head, which had been about to split, was relieved. "How does it feel?" "Well, I feel much better. Your massage technique is great." "This isn't just any massage." Chen Jun seized the opportunity, but her mother explained the 2 acupoints that had just been massaged to her. After massaging her well, she pulled up her palm and gently massaged the Hegu point on the base of her palm. Well, the Sijukong point at the end of the eyebrows on the face, combined with the Fengchai point behind the head and the Hegu point on the hands, can treat migraines. For someone like Mr. Mo who suffers from headaches due to excessive brain use after a day of high-intensity work, very good results can be quickly achieved by massaging these 3 points. After dinner, I will give you another massage. Tomorrow morning, don't go to the company so early. Stay at home for a while. I will give you moxibustion on these 3 acupoints. This will give the best treatment effect. Just give your mother moxibustion tonight. Why wait until tomorrow morning? Jiang Tao said before that you can't do moxibustion after 7 p.m. Forehead. Mr. Mo opened his eyes, looking somewhat stunned. Did he say that? Chen Jun couldn't help but cover her face. Of course there is. You are really a forgetful person. Moxibustion can't be done at night, she explained with some anger. After the sun sets at 7 p.m., the yang qi has already been dormant in the human body. Moxibustion can make the yang qi regenerate and move to the peripheral surface of the body. This will make people more excited, metabolism more vigorous, lead to insomnia, and also cause the phenomenon of hurting yin and stirring fire. The morning is the time when yang energy is generated, so it is more appropriate to replenish yang energy. It is also the most suitable time to regulate the body through moxibustion. Chapter 200. There is a problem. Please subscribe and vote tilde. It seems that my daughter has learned a lot of knowledge about moxibustion in traditional Chinese medicine by following Wu Jiangtao. After hearing what his daughter said, Mr. Mo understood, but also felt a little guilty. See, I was right, wasn't I? Chen Jun seized on this point and criticized his mother without any hesitation, saying things like, you must take care of your health no matter how busy you are at work. You are so old, but you can't even arrange your own schedule for laziness. You can't even take the lead in laziness. How can you still manage the company? Oh, I know, please don't say that. Please let me go. Mr. Mo felt so upset after hearing what he said that he clasped his hands together and begged for mercy from his daughter. Well, these words were basically copied from what Mr. Mo said to me when I was in elementary and middle school. Chen Jun did it on purpose. Mo Wants, who was in the wrong, could only endure it. While scolding her mother, she continued to massage her mother's Fengchai and Sijukong points to relieve her fatigue and headache of the day. While the mother and daughter were hurting each other, a familiar figure appeared outside. It was Father Chen, who had also returned from the research institute. He walked into the living room, put down his bag, sat on the sofa, and let out a long sigh like Mr. Mo just did. Like this. Chen Jun, standing next to him, couldn't help but roll his eyes. It's true that people of the same family stick together. He looks so tired. If you don't know him, you might think he is busy with national affairs. Well, you are right, he is indeed busy with national affairs. Okay, I'm much better now. Go over there and give your dad a massage. Mr. Mo waved his hands and said something unhappily. Over there, Father Chen, who was pinching his brow with his hand, was stunned when he heard this. He turned his head and looked over here in confusion. What? It's okay, you're all big, busy people. Chen Jun complained, came over and stood behind his father, put his fingers on his Fengchai and Sijukong points, and pressed hard. Ouch! Father Chen screamed in pain and lowered his head. Ninny, be gentle. Chen Jun patted his father's shoulder unhappily and asked him to sit down. Okay, I'll be gentler. Your meridians must be so blocked that it hurts so much when I press lightly. Yeah. Father Chen was skeptical. Yes. Chen Jun was very confident. She would never say that she got used to the massage on her mother, and she used too much force in her hands because of inertia. Don't forget that the strength in her hands is now comparable to that of an amateur second-grade warrior. However, when she started massaging again, her movements became gentler, and she only started to increase the strength slowly after Dad started to adapt. Comfortable, Ninny, you learned this massage technique from Xiao Tao, right? Okay, I'll let your mother do it later. Just as he finished speaking, a gaze swept over from the side. Teach me later, and I'll give your mother a good massage too. Mo Wan then withdrew her gaze, sat on the sofa with satisfaction, and rubbed the leak point on the side of her wrist. In fact, after more than 2 months of moxibustion treatment by her assistant Xiao Wan, her headache and insomnia have been greatly relieved and are almost cured. However, the recent 2 days of reorganization of the group have made her physically and mentally exhausted, and this time she has a headache again. Fio. The daughter didn't try to hold back her laughter and just laughed out loud. Dad's speed of changing his words is still the same as always. Dinner is ready. Wu Jiantao's voice came from the courtyard. The 3 of them in the living room immediately turned their heads to look. At the same time, two extremely clear thunderous sounds were heard. Well, it was the protests from Dad Chen and Mr. Mo's stomachs. Chen Jun looked at them and couldn't help laughing. Let's go out and eat. I'm hungry too. In the afternoon, she ate the oatmeal millet porridge that Wu Jiantao made specially for her, unlike her parents who had empty stomachs. After all, Chen Jun now has to feed two babies. Although her granary is large enough and has never been short of food, as the babies grow rapidly, their appetites are increasing day by day. The diet that Wu Jiantao arranges for her every day is still scientific and nutritious, ensuring that she has enough milk. They even used a breast pump to express some of the milk and kept it in the refrigerator for emergency use. Chen Jun looked at the two babies who were sleeping soundly in the living room again, and then came to sit at the dining table in the courtyard outside. There were 6 or 7 dishes on the table, including fish, vegetables, meat, and soup. The food looked delicious and smelled delicious, which made people's appetite whetted. Why'd eat? Grandma Chen first made a bowl of soup for the old man and asked everyone to start eating. The family sat down and began to enjoy the dinner with the whole family. The food was especially delicious. However, while Mr. Mo was eating, he suddenly frowned and put down his bowl and chopsticks. At this moment, she felt a wave of nausea rising in her heart, and she stood up and left the table. Grandma Chen was a little confused. What happened? Did she have an upset stomach? Seeing her son still sitting there very quietly, she couldn't help but glance at him and said, "Go and have a look. Your wife is not feeling well, and you can still sit there." Lo. Father Chen quickly got up and followed his wife. At this moment, Wu Jiantao thought of what happened between his father-in-law and his mother-in-law. It's very likely that Ms. Mo is less than 50 years old. Although she is busy after achieving success in her career, she has maintained her body very well, with all kinds of spas and maintenance. In addition, she is more mentally laborious than physically laborious. Judging from her body and skin condition, she looks like a woman under 40 years old. As for Lord Taishan, even though his physical condition is not very good, he is only 54, so it is still possible. Zioajin. Wu Jiantao reached out and poked his wife's slender waist. Ouch! Chen Jun's body shuddered sensitively, and he couldn't help but turn his head. His big eyes revealed a hint of anger and doubt. What are you doing? Oh, these big watery eyes so close to him made someone's heart tremble, and he almost couldn't help but kiss her directly, but the elders were present, so he held back. Go see your mother. I don't think her condition is as simple as a stomachache. Chen Jun's beautiful eyes shrank slightly, and he immediately became nervous. What? Don't worry, it's probably not illness. She failed to realize the key point for a moment, nor did she understand the hidden meaning of her husband's words. She was a little confused for a while. Not that simple and not sick. What is that? Let me figure out the logic. She suddenly widened her eyes and looked at Wu Jiantao in shock. Go check it out. Wu Jiantao urged her again. Oh. The girl suddenly stood up and followed towards the bathroom. Chapter 201 Pregnant. Please subscribe and vote tilde. In front of the sink, Director Mo bent over and retched, her face slightly red from the rising stomach gas. Father Chen beside her was stroking her back, frowning and saying that she was such a grown-up. Why was she still eating nonsense? Mom! Chen Jun came closer and looked at his mother with a strange expression. How do you feel? Did you have a stomachache? No, I ate normally today and didn't eat anything random. Director Mo didn't realize the problem yet. She looked up at her daughter and husband beside her with a confused look on her face. It's okay, I feel much better now. Mo Wan washed her face, recovered, stood up and walked towards the yard. Where are you going? If you feel uncomfortable in your stomach, take a rest. Father Chen beside him frowned and said, I want to eat, I'm not full. Father Chen. No, you are feeling sick and want to vomit, right? How come you still have an appetite? On the side, Chen Jun saw her mother like this, and she felt more and more that her husband's judgment should be correct. Back at the dinner table, the two elders had almost finished eating. Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun also put down their bowls and chopsticks. Only Chen's father and Mr. Mo sat down and picked up their bowls and chopsticks to continue eating. Ziohe, aren't you feeling sick in the stomach? Why don't you take a rest? Grandma Chen was a little surprised to see her daughter-in-law coming back with such a good appetite. Mom, I'm fine, maybe I just have a little bloating. I feel like I can eat a lot now. Mr. Mo replied nonchalantly and kept picking up food with his chopsticks to eat. He looked like he was sick and his appetite was clearly too good. Soon, Dad Chen beside him finished the remaining half bowl of rice and put down his bowl and chopsticks. Only then did he realize that his wife was still eating. Why do you have such a good appetite today? He asked curiously. Maybe I'm too tired, Mr. Mo said nonchalantly. Grandpa Chen ate his fill and began to pace around the yard, wondering whether he should go out for a walk or stay at home to look after the baby. At the dinner table, Director Mo finally finished her meal. She just put down her bowl and chopsticks when she saw Grandma Chen staring at her. She thought she had rice grains on her face and quickly wiped her mouth. Mom, why are you looking at me like that? Ah, it's okay. I just wanted to ask if you had any other reactions besides what you did just now. No. After all, I'm old now, and I've never thought about it that way. For a while, I didn't realize what was happening to me. On the other side, after clearing the dishes, Wu Jiangtao turned around and brought a large bowl from the kitchen and placed it on the table. Everyone looked and saw that it was filled with fruits about the size of plums. Come try this. I brought this specialty from my hometown. This specially made sweet and sour green plum can clear away heat and relieve internal heat, and it is sweet and thirst quenching. There will also be green plum juice in a while. What? Before Chen Jun could move, someone's eyes lit up, and he reached out to pick one up and put it in his mouth. It's delicious. It was not bitter at all, but lightly salty and sweet, with a very unique sour taste. It made my mouth water as soon as I ate it. It tasted quite refreshing and delicious. Mo Wan finished one in an instant and then took another one, then the third and the fourth. Just as she was eating the fifth one, she finally noticed that the surroundings seemed a little quiet. Everyone stared at her blankly. Why are you looking at me like that? Mo Wan finally realized something was wrong. She looked at Wu Jiangtao and Chen Jun beside her, as well as Grandma Chen, who was looking at her and laughing. As for Dad Chen, he was sitting next to her and browsing his phone. Mom, I want to tell you something. Chen Jun couldn't help laughing. She looked at her mother and said solemnly, you go to the hospital for a checkup tomorrow. Then she turned to look at her father, who was looking down at his phone. Dad. What? Dad Chen, who was watching the news on his phone, didn't hear anything and didn't move. Dad. Chen Jun called him with a higher decibel level. Father Chen put down his phone and looked up. What do you want me to do? Go buy a pregnancy test. Mo Wan. Chen Chu. Holy. The couple was stunned for a moment, and then they turned their heads to look at each other. But the next moment, they saw Father Chen turned his head to look at his daughter and Wu Jiangtao, and asked in a somewhat loud voice, It's only been 4 months since you gave birth, and you're pregnant again. Well, the anxiety and reproach on her face were obvious. She still knew the basic knowledge in this regard. Generally speaking, a cesarean section should be performed at least 1 year later before getting pregnant again. It is very dangerous to get pregnant at this time, so the abortion must be done. However, this will cause great harm to her daughter's body. Chen Jun. Wu Jiangtao. Oh, Dad, what are you thinking? It's not me who wants to use it, it's my mom. Chen Jun said angrily. Oh, Dad. Chen nodded, then reacted and exclaimed, Ah. He turned to look at his wife. Are you pregnant? Mr. Mo glared at him, planning to settle the score with him when he returned to the room later. Seeing her son's reaction, Grandma Chen felt angry and amused. She shook her head and said, You guys, I told you before that you should have a second child early. Look, Zio, he is already 48 years old now. While Chen Jun couldn't help laughing, he also felt a little weird. This experience is really unique. If my mother is really pregnant, according to the time calculation, my brother or sister will be born in March or April next year. Well, a brother or sister who is 28 years younger than me, an uncle or aunt who is 1 year younger than my son or daughter. Think about it. When Daodu and Maomio grow up, they will call a little kid uncle or aunt. The picture is so beautiful that she can hardly imagine it. A few months ago, after Mr. Chen used moxibustion to treat his lower back pain, it basically disappeared. Well, he still uses moxibustion now, but in addition to the waist, he also uses moxibustion on 3 points, Danshan, Guanyuan, and navel, to nourish the essence, regulate the stomach and intestines, and make him feel more energetic. Well, by the way, they have been doing that quite frequently in the past few months. Father Chen looked at his wife speechlessly. Yes, about 2 weeks ago. I accidentally lost it, but I'm already old enough. What are you still standing there for? Go buy a pregnancy test. Lo. Director Mo gave her husband a slap, and then Father Chen hurriedly got up and left. Even though he was nearly 50 years old, Mr. Mo couldn't help but blush at this moment. This can't be right. It was only that one time that he didn't wear it properly, just that one time. I won the bid myself. Chapter 202, confirmed. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket Tilda. For a moment she felt a little confused. She gave birth to a daughter when she was 20 years old. In 2 years, she would be 50 years old. Would it be too dangerous to have another child now? Let alone her now in the hospital. Every prenatal checkup form for pregnant women in their 30s will have the word high risk written on it. Wu Jiantao stood up, and everyone at the scene immediately looked at him. He felt a little embarrassed and involuntarily broke the awkward silence. You guys eat these green plums. I'll go wash the dishes first. Having said that, he hurriedly got up and left. After the only boy at the scene left, Chen Jun and Grandma Chen immediately started talking and asked her what was going on. Well, there are some things that many women say to each other that are not suitable for men to hear, especially about cough, 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 you know. Chen Jun knew that Wu Jiantao had extraordinary hearing, so after he left, she got up and took her mother and grandmother to the living room to talk in private. On the other side, in the community clinic of the residential area, Dean Chen. Seeing the visitor, a woman who was eating dinner behind the counter stood up immediately, looked at the visitor with surprise, and said very respectfully, "Do you want to see a doctor or forehead?" At this moment, Chen Chu was really a little embarrassed, but he still pretended to be calm and said, "Give me a pregnancy test stick." As soon as he finished speaking, he could clearly see a flash of surprise on the face of the 20-something female nurse. Chen Jun just gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl, only 4 months ago. It's unlikely that they are his daughters, which means… Oh, okay, please wait a moment. Although all kinds of thoughts were rushing through her mind, the nurse's face remained calm. She turned around, took out a box from the counter and handed it to him. "How much?" "2. Drop." Chen Chu scanned the code to pay, then turned around and left in a hurry. After he left, the female nurse turned around and went back to the counter to continue eating. After taking a few bites, she picked up her phone and the screen lit up automatically. Then she put it down again, ate a few more bites of food, picked it up and put it down again. She repeated this several times. Finally, she couldn't help but clicked on the screen and entered WeChat. Returning home in a hurry, Dad Chen saw Wu Jiantao washing dishes at the sink by the yard. His father was nowhere to be seen. He was probably out for a walk. As for his wife, daughter, and mother, they had disappeared long ago. Looking at the living room from the yard, no one is there. Father Chen was a little confused, thinking that maybe they went out. He turned around and asked Wu Jiantao, who was not far away. Only then did he know that they went inside. He was speechless and walked straight in, but when he arrived at his mother's room, he found that the door was still closed. Knock, knock, knocks. I knocked on the door gently and heard footsteps from inside. The door opened, and I saw my mother, who was wearing old glasses, pull down her glasses, look at me and say unhappily, "What are you doing?" "Mom, I bought that pregnancy test stick. I bought it, so take it to your room and put it there. Zyro, he will use it after she takes a bath tonight." Bang. After saying that, Grandma Chen closed the door rudely. Before closing the door, Dad Chen could clearly hear his daughter and wife talking and laughing inside. Dad Chen was turned away and inexplicably began to doubt his life. What was he doing? This was. As I turned around and was about to go back to my room, I saw my dad coming back from a walk outside. As soon as he came in, he asked, "Where are Daodu and Mayomio?" As he spoke, he pointed to the empty crib that was supposed to be next to the living room. "I was just here. Where are my 2 little great-grandchildren?" "In the room, Mom, Zyros and Nini are all inside. I don't know what they are talking about." "What?" The old man didn't know what was going on, so he went straight to push the door open, only to find that it was locked from the inside and couldn't be opened. "What are you doing, old man's?" Grandma Chen's dissatisfied voice came. "Go aside, the 3 of us have something to say now." "No, why'd you have to say that? Where are Daodu and Mayomeo?" "I'm still breastfeeding. Go watch TV outside and don't disturb us." Just now the door was open when facing my son, but now when facing my spouse, I can't even open the door. The old man looked depressed. He turned around to look at his son, but saw that he was also speechless. Even Wu Jiantao, who had just finished washing the dishes, came in from outside. "Zyro Tao, do you know?" "Wells, maybe Grandma, Mom and Zyrogen just want to talk. I don't know the details." Wu Jiantao shook his head. At this time, Father Chen next to him suddenly remembered. By the way, he had not yet told the old man that his wife might be pregnant, so he quickly mentioned it. "Oh, I see." The old man nodded and turned away, then turned back the next moment. "Huh, you just said Zyro he is pregnant." "Dad, it's just a possibility, just a possibility. I just bought the pregnancy test stick and haven't had time to confirm it yet," Dad Chen explained with a helpless smile. "My daughter-in-law is almost 50 years old. It is a big deal if she gets pregnant at this time." But the old man immediately got anxious and scolded. "What are you doing standing there, you bastard? Why don't you test Zyro he now?" "But I can't get in, Mr. Chen." Just as the father and son were shouting in a hurry outside, the door opened, and the 3 grown men in the living room immediately turned their heads to look over. Standing in front of the door was Grandma Chen. Her originally sullen face softened a lot when she saw her grandson-in-law was also there, but she still glared at her son unhappily. Where's the pregnancy test stick? Here. Dad Chen hurried forward and handed it over. Grandma Chen took it and turned around and slammed the door shut. What? In the living room, the grandfather, his son and his grandson-in-law looked at each other in silence, but they could only suppress their anxiety and sat down and wait quietly. What? A few minutes passed. In the room, 3 women gathered together and looked at the end of the pregnancy test stick in front of them. 2 bars slowly appeared. Mo Wan, Grandma Chen, Chen Jun. No way. The 3 of them were stunned. Even though she had already made up her mind before this, when it was finally confirmed, Mo Wan still couldn't believe it. I am pregnant. I'm going to have a second baby. I was confused for a while and then I was filled with anxiety. My body is no longer young and I still have many diseases. Can I still have another child? With my current physical condition, will the baby be healthy? Will it affect his or her congenital constitution? Chapter 203, a bit more complicated. Please subscribe and give me a monthly ticket, Tilda. Questions came to the mother's mind one after another, leaving her confused for a moment. Although she gave birth to Chen Jun, raising a baby 28 years ago and raising a baby now 20 years later are definitely 2 different things. China's economy in the 1990s had not yet fully taken off, and there were basically no formula milk or professional nutritious complementary foods. In some inland provinces at that time, if there was not enough breast milk, the baby could only drink oatmeal. Only in coastal cities was it better, as babies could drink malted milk or milk powder. But at that time, the milk powder given to babies was only very generally called infant milk powder. It was not as scientific and detailed as it is now with the first, second, and third stages. What's more, she has forgotten a lot of things about giving birth to a daughter. Now she sees that it is so troublesome for her nieces and nephews to give birth to babies. They have to go through prenatal checkups once or even several times a month, various blood tests, color Doppler ultrasound, CT scan, electrocardiogram, etc. Well, all these are secondary. The key is that the baby is born. Who brings it? What should I do with the affairs of the group company during pregnancy and for a long period of time after giving birth? The group doesn't have a qualified successor yet. If he suddenly steps down at this time, Feiyun Group, which is facing suppression from the West, will definitely be thrown into disarray, just like last week. Clearly, relevant work plans and policies were formulated at the beginning of this year, but over the past 1 or 2 months, external pressure has led to disunity within the group. Even the general manager has begun to overtly or covertly bypass the strategic policies formulated at the beginning of the year. Although he did this for the group, and to allow the group to keep its current position, in the long run, the company will be left behind by the times in the next 10 or even 100 years, and may not even be able to keep up with the layout and development of the country's new energy industry. Mo Wan was really confused at this time. Her work and matters related to her pregnancy and childbirth in the next 1 or 2 years were intertwined, and she didn't know how to sort it out. It's better not to have this baby. Anyway, Lao Chen and I never plan to have a second child. No, it's not possible. Although getting pregnant with this baby was an accident, her appearance is like a gift from God to me, and it is also my destiny. I can't just give it up so easily. Besides, Lao Chen hasn't said anything yet. Mo Wan let out a long breath and calmed down. Is giving birth to a child more difficult than growing Feiyun Group from a local business to the multinational group it is today? I can handle it. I will definitely handle it well. I have experienced all kinds of difficulties and hardships. Having a child is just a small matter. I will sort it out first. What I need to do next, will it affect the work of the group? No, I should sort out the group's work so that it won't affect my pregnancy and baby making. It seems I have to put some of the burden on Secretary Hu. If she can take it, that would be great. If she can't for the time being, I can only let her try and make more mistakes. Well, the group is now being suppressed by the high-tech group led by the United States in the West. It may even be just an appetizer at the moment. Now such a storm has arisen within the group. If I were not here, the Feiyun Group, this giant ship, would definitely deviate from its preset development track. Mo Wan came out of her mother's room with the pregnancy test stick in her hand. She and her husband returned to their own room, closed the door, and began to discuss what to do in the next 1 or 2 years. In the living room, Grandma Chen and Chen Jun came out of the room holding Daodu and Mio. Grandpa Chen still looked incredulous. He walked over to look at his wife and asked a question. Are you really pregnant? Yes, the pregnancy test result is positive, but I have to go to the hospital tomorrow to check and have a physical examination. She should have a physical examination. She should have a physical examination. Speaking of this, the old man couldn't help but frown. After all, she is almost 50 now, and it is very dangerous to have a child at this age. Grandma Chen couldn't help but shook her head. I think medicine is so advanced now. Traditional Chinese medicine has also developed in the past 2 years. It is very good at conditioning and physical therapy. If you regulate your body well, even if you can't give birth naturally, you can at least have a cesarean section. The key is who will take care of the baby after it is born. You bring it. Mr. Chen said this subconsciously, and then he saw his wife glance at him indifferently. That's definitely not going to work. He immediately saved himself and said solemnly, well, then let's hire a confinement nanny and a babysitter. Well, he thought this was a good idea, nodded and said, you can go to a confinement center during the confinement period. After the confinement period, you can hire a confinement nanny to help take care of the baby and a nanny to take care of the adults. You can hire a part-time worker to clean the house. As for that brat, the work of the institute is related to national affairs, so he probably can't leave. It sounded like a reasonable idea, but Grandma Chen on the other side couldn't help but roll her eyes. If only it were that simple. E=O, alas. As expected, you can't expect a man to really help you. Compared with the old man, she has more considerations, so it's not impossible to ask someone for help. But is this what Mo Wan needs after giving birth? Outsiders may be able to take good care of the baby and take good care of her professionally, but do these grown men really know what she needs at that time? Although Grandma Chen is from the old times, she is not behind in this aspect, because she often hears complaints from her grandchildren over the years. Whether it was the grandson who got married and had children, or the granddaughter who gave birth to a baby, even a few years ago when he was still strong, he helped take care of the child of a cousin of Chen Jun. In the old days, it was understandable for men to work outside when life was difficult, and it was normal for women to have children. Not only did men take it for granted, but even women of that era thought so. But in this era, with the improvement of women's status and further liberation of thought, women have higher requirements for their other half. Not to mention the more extreme ones like rural women's boxing. Most girls now think that having children is a matter for two people, not just one person. To put it more complicatedly, there are regular prenatal checkups, observation and care of the pregnant woman's physical and mental state, diet, daily life, and even whether the surrounding environment is suitable. After delivery, there are various rules during the confinement period, care from the mother, especially a nutritionally balanced diet, emotions and mental state, etc. If you have money, you can naturally hire someone to take care of these tedious matters in life. And after you have enough of these, many boys stay away from home to focus on their careers, ideals, and struggles. Oh, since you've already invited him, why not just spend some more money to hire a husband? I was busy with my family's funeral today and only had some free time to write in the afternoon. Sorry for updating only now. There will be another update in the evening. Chapter 204. To put it simply, please subscribe and vote for me. To put it simply, these trivial and troublesome things can be dealt with in just 2 words. A company. Grandma Chen has seen many young people getting married and having children at home and in the community. Although she does not understand their thoughts and many of the buzzwords they use, she can see clearly that young people nowadays are in love one by one, and they all seem to be talking about love and describing love, moving themselves or their significant other. But when this love comes into each other's lives, the communication between the two families, and even the married life, everything becomes a mess. In fact, most young men and women are very sweet when they are in love or even married. The word a mess cannot describe this. This kind of mess is not the sweet life of the two after marriage, but when things happen, such as having children, or when there are conflicts between the two families that require compromise or concession, those are the moments to witness true love. The moment of love is never exactly like this moment. Ability is one thing, but using attitude and action to break through numerous contradictions and difficulties can lead to the most perfect state of love. You can invite someone, but please keep them company. This kind of companionship does not necessarily require a man to stay by his wife's side every day. A man needs a career, and a family also needs a man's career. But when returning home from work, many men tend to be perfunctory at this time, avoid things if possible, and do nothing if possible. In their opinion, this is because they are tired from work all day and want to take a break, sit down and play games on their mobile phones. Anyway, don't I have someone to serve you? But the key is that this performance. From the perspective of a pregnant wife or a wife who has just given birth, she does not feel the love and care. The most important thing is that the hormonal changes in the mother's body from pregnancy to postpartum are like a roller coaster, and at this time, her temper is mostly very bad, so she will naturally quarrel and make trouble with her husband. And these. In the man's eyes, aren't you just being unreasonable? Don't I care whether you slept well or poorly today? Didn't I just ask about the baby, but didn't ask you how you felt today? Do you really want to do that? I'm asking you, do you really want to do that? Why don't I love you? In the end, it will directly evolve into a meaningless quarrel like, you are being unreasonable, or why do you love me? And it is normal to end up in a bad mood. However, what many husbands don't know is that their wives are still willing to quarrel with them, which shows that no big problem. The bigger problem is that the wife is always depressed before or after giving birth, and even forces a smile in front of her husband or mother-in-law. This kind of behavior requires the husband to pay special attention. These two. In the previous situation, as long as the husband realizes that this is an attitude problem, he doesn't even need to do any housework. He just needs to give some attentive companionship and care. Someone may say, how can I accompany you when I have to work? Okay, it's true that you have to work, and it's also true that you need to concentrate and not be distracted when working. But there should always be a time to drink a cup of coffee during breaks, and to eat during lunch breaks, right? During these times, have you ever thought about your wife who is at home in confinement after childbirth? She hasn't gotten much sleep. Did she get enough rest today? Did she eat the meals during the day? How's her appetite? Why not make a WeChat video call to see her, or even send her a WeChat message to ask? There must be a few minutes to spare, right? This is not just a simple greeting, nor is it a formal concern, but in today's society, many husbands can only do this in order to support their families. Even if she doesn't care, through such communication, the wife at home can see her husband running around outside, sweating and tired, and the way he still works hard despite his tiredness, which can give her a lot of energy from afar. The latter. It is the primary manifestation of depression. No matter who is pregnant or postpartum, the mother will show depression, such as being taciturn, unable to eat, and having trouble sleeping. Before giving birth, she will be afraid and anxious about giving birth. After giving birth, she will lose her temper and feel guilty. She may even be at a loss in taking care of the baby and lose confidence, etc. If encountering this situation, unless the husband wants to break up the family, the best way is to take leave or even quit his job to return to the family and accompany his wife for active treatment. If the love in the past only required hormones and dopamine, then the love at this stage requires more efforts to live out the flavor of every detail and every triviality in life. If a man can feel the peaceful and safe happiness from such a life, then congratulations. You still have love. The so-called marriage is the grave of love. A marriage where love dies because it cannot withstand the various details and trivial tests of married life is just a self-consolation and excuse for the incompetent people who are unable to love at this critical moment. Wu Jiantao was quite lucky. In less than half a year, he passed all these levels one by one. Of course, the key to this was Chen Jun. Different from ordinary girls. Just like now, even when she is home during the day, as long as the baby is sleeping, she will turn around and sit at the desk or computer to start doing some work at the research institute. Wu Jiantao felt like he was shooting himself in the foot. The next day, after finishing the morning practice class, I saw my wife sitting at the desk and turning on the computer to write and calculate. Although the institute did not assign her any work tasks, she was very familiar with some of the current work projects of the institute, especially the part that required mathematical calculations. She would help with it. In the institute, her ability in pure mathematics is among the best, and her work efficiency is much higher than others. Her mentor, Professor Lu Huixin, advised her against this several times, but she still did it. Wu Jiantao did not stop this at first, because her emotions fluctuated greatly in the months after giving birth. Only when she sat at the desk in the room could she calm down. The project information that Li Xiaoshan brought from the institute helped stabilize her emotions, reducing the number of emotional clashes and conflicts between the two of them. To some extent, this inadvertently promoted the harmonious and stable development of the relationship between the two. Well, a certain best friend didn't even know that she had acted as a matchmaker. Of course, things are changing and developing. Now this thing has become a barrier to their sweet relationship. Of course, the barrier is only relative to Wu Jiantao. As for Chen Jun, she just gave him a sweet kiss and then turned around to work. Well, this is a report. But for someone, this is not reporting. This is starting a fire. Chapter 205. Changes in the Heart. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket Tilda. Wu Jiantao came closer and got close to her. Here, Chen Jun had just opened the work materials and was about to lower his head to carefully review them and start today's planned work, when he felt someone approaching and immediately turned his head very vigilantly, and then, tactical retreat. Come here, Xiaojun. I want to tell you something very important." He said this very seriously. Chen Jun continued to retreat tactically and snorted, "Don't get so close to me. I always feel that you have bad intentions." Upon hearing this, Wu Jiantao immediately cried out in injustice. "How can my sincerity and love be considered as harboring ill intentions? Come on, let's talk about it first." "Okay, stop it. Tell me what's going on. I still have work to do here." "I just want to talk about your work. How do you arrange your work now?" "Well, it's just 4 hours, divided into the morning and afternoon. Apart from taking care of the 2 babies, the rest of the time is spent on yoga practice," said Chen Jun. Do you want to hear my opinion?" "Oh." Chen Jun was puzzled. "Look, your body has recovered now. It's even better than before you got pregnant. You don't need to sleep during the day, and you still have enough energy to work and study." After saying so much, she was a little confused. "So, what do you want to tell me?" "I want to ask, do you want to rearrange your work plan?" Someone's true intentions were revealed. Chen Jun, who was as smart as ice and snow, understood what this guy wanted to say. A cunning flashed in his eyes, but he pretended to think seriously, hesitated for a moment and nodded, saying, "I see. It seems that my work schedule is not suitable. It is also. Only 4 hours is too short. How about changing it to 6 hours, 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon? What do you think?" Wu Jiangtao. No, Ning didn't understand what I was saying. He was about to explain further, but when he saw the girl in front of him couldn't help smiling, he immediately understood. "Okay, let me show you how I deal with you." Wu Jiantao immediately pounced on his prey like a hungry tiger. Whoa. Oh. Sadly, someone soon had to go to the bathroom and stand under running cold water to cool themselves down. Well, now Chen Jun has not yet reached the level of joy in this secret practice. If at this time, all her previous efforts will be wasted, which will greatly affect her future practice of this yoga state of mind. He walked out of the bathroom again. When Chen Jun looked over, his face was still red. She rolled her eyes at someone fiercely and did not dare to stay here any longer. Instead, she quickly got up from the desk and went out of the room. Well, the 2 babies are in the living room, being looked after by their grandparent. As for work, it is optional. In this case, she plans to spend only 2 hours a day to simply understand the progress and information of her team's work project. Keep abreast of the work projects so that when the 2 little ones are 1 year old, you can get started as quickly as possible and participate in the work. It's strange to say, my thoughts change every day. Chen Jun couldn't help but complain in her heart. She had always been concerned about her work at the research institute and was thinking about going back to the institute to work half a day when her baby was 6 months old. But as time went by, her thoughts gradually changed. She used to think that the baby couldn't live without her, but now she feels that she can't live without the baby. This maternal instinct engraved deep in our genes is extremely powerful and does not change with personal will. To be more precise, this instinct has been driving every mother, even making them sacrifice themselves unconditionally for their babies. Just like these days when I was back home, my grandparents would sometimes take the 2 babies out for a walk. At this time, whether Chen Jun was working or practicing yoga at home, she would fall into a state of restlessness and would always think of her 2 babies unconsciously. I wondered if they would cry outside, if their grandparents would be able to comfort them, and even if they would encounter any danger or someone would snatch them away on the street. As the saying goes, once bitten, once you are bitten. Even after several months, Chen Jun still has a huge psychological trauma from her previous encounter with human traffickers in the hospital, which is why she is so uneasy and restless at this time. This situation only happened a handful of times, and each time she couldn't help but leave the house to look for the baby, who was being taken out for a walk by her grandparents. Just like now, even though Wu Jiantao had just been bothering her, she couldn't help but go downstairs to see the baby. When I arrived at the living room, I found it was empty. Grandpa, Grandma, and the 2 babies were not there. I looked in the corner and the stroller was gone. It seemed that the 2 old people had taken the babies out for a walk again. "Why didn't you tell me?" Chen Jun frowned slightly and was a little angry. Wu Jiantao, who came down with her, immediately noticed that she was in a bad mood and said quickly, "No, my grandparents told me, but I forgot to tell you when I went upstairs just now." She was feeling anxious again and didn't say any more words to her husband. Instead, she put on a pair of canvas shoes and hurried outside. "By the way, I don't know how Mom's medical examination at the hospital went." Wu Jiantao tried to divert her attention. "Well, I just sent a WeChat message to my dad and he hasn't replied yet." Chen Jun's attention was drawn to this, and he turned to talk about this, but his steps out of the house were still hurried. Wu Jiantao closed the door and followed her. "Call me. I see Dad doesn't use WeChat very often, so he might not have seen your message." Chen Jun was slightly stunned when he heard the hurried footsteps. It's true. Dad really doesn't like to use WeChat. For example, he only appears in the family WeChat group during festivals, and when he appears, he just sends a few big red envelopes and then disappears again. On weekdays, when people chat in the WeChat group, when people at him, Dad Chen never responds. She took out her cell phone and called her dad directly. Hey Dad, how did Mom's physical exam go? I just had my blood drawn and am waiting for the report. Give me 2 of these steamed buns and this noodle soup. Ninny, your mom just had her blood drawn and is waiting for the report. I'm buying her breakfast outside the hospital. She's starving. Wait a minute. Dad, don't forget that Mom doesn't eat onions and garlic. Remember not to put them in the rice noodle soup. Chapter 206. Elegant and calm, please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket Tilda. Ah, master, don't put onions and garlic in this noodle soup. A dissatisfied voice could be heard faintly on the phone. Ah, why didn't you tell me earlier? Oh, forget it. I'll make another one for you. Sorry, I'll pay for this. Dad Chen apologized repeatedly on the other end of the phone. Dad, there's more. Mom never eats large intestines and lakes. She doesn't like heavy food. Oh, okay, I'll remember that. Even through the phone, one could hear him busying around, and Chen Jun couldn't help but feel a little worried. Is that really okay? Although my father had been to the hospital before, he was always a patient. This was the first time he went to the hospital to take care of others. But what can be done if Chen Jun is uneasy here? My father is not a young man in his 20s anymore. Although he has been engaged in scientific research for many years, he still has basic ability to do things. At times like this, she could only think in a positive way. Even if her father didn't understand many things, there was still her assistant Xiao Wan, so it shouldn't be a big problem. I reminded my father again about my mother's eating habits and told him that if he didn't understand, he could ask Xiao Wan in private. This assistant has always been with my mother and knows her much better than her daughter, Chen's father. After hanging up the phone, Chen Jun couldn't help but sigh softly. Why did it feel like his father was just like a young man in his 20s when it came to taking care of people? Thinking of this, she couldn't help but turn her head and glance at Wu Jiantao beside her. How about it? The physical examination is over, and I'm waiting for the report. My dad is making breakfast for my mom, and Xiao Wan is with her. At this point, Chen Jun was stunned for a moment, and then couldn't help but cover his face. Upon hearing this, Wu Jiantao also reacted immediately. Vanished. There is no doubt that Father Chen must have performed poorly during the physical examination with his wife in the morning, which is why he was sent out to get breakfast. Otherwise, it should be him, not his assistant Xiao Wan, who should be with Mr. Mo. Chen Jun quickly picked up his phone again and sent a WeChat message to his assistant Xiao Wan, asking her if his parents had quarreled in the morning. No, to be precise, it should be that his father had angered his mother. On the other side, Xiao Wan saw the WeChat message on her mobile phone and subconsciously looked up. She glanced at Mr. Mo, who was sitting next to her and browsing his phone, then replied quickly and briefly explained what had just happened. Chen Jun on this side was also a little surprised after seeing the message. Aren't these just small matters? Mom, this is. She thought about it for a moment and immediately understood what her mother was thinking. She was angry and amused at the same time. She took out her cell phone and called the great chairman Mo directly. Nene. Mom, how was your physical this morning? Fortunately, the doctor said that my physical condition is good and all indicators are good. I just need to pay attention to my nutrition, exercise more, and keep my joints and bones active. There is hope that I can have a natural birth. When Chen Jun was born, it was a natural birth. Dongmo's hip bone had been open. Although Chen Jun was born more than 20 years ago, the body still has memory. As long as she practices some hip opening movements in the next few months, she will most likely have a natural birth. Oh, where's my dad? He went to buy me breakfast. Why? Do you want to speak for him? As soon as she mentioned this, Mo Wan immediately realized the problem. No, my dad just called me and asked me what I like to eat. God hug. Mo Wan's expression immediately eased up a lot. She was not that stupid after all. Well, there was nothing wrong with her husband's attitude. It was just that he didn't know anything when he came to the hospital this morning and had to ask the nurse. He made a fuss over a small matter during the consultation, which made her upset, so she deliberately asked him to go to breakfast in person. Mom. Chen Jun on the other side was not polite either. You asked my dad to get breakfast. Is this a test for him? This is the style of the group's CEO. In our family, you are my mother and my father's wife. Why are you testing me like this? Do you want me to give you the entire KPI assessment indicator again? Mr. Mo was stunned when he heard this. Although he was a little unhappy about being scolded by his daughter, He felt that his daughter was right. Hee, so you're going to give me a shot and then hit another one, right? She said this very sharply, meaning that as a mother, I know all of your little thoughts and tricks. Haha, isn't this because you taught me well, Mom? What? Mr. Mo on the other end of the phone suddenly didn't know what to say. Was he praising himself or scolding me? Why did it seem like both? I have to say that Chen Jun's counterattack was quite sharp and to the point, and he was also measured in his advances and retreats. Although he was unhappy, Mr. Mo was a reasonable person, and he naturally listened to what his daughter said just now. I was indeed thinking like a boss this morning. Is this an occupational disease? Without a doubt, yes, and this kind of thinking is very dangerous and must be thrown away. After all, if an employee fails the company's assessment or is not satisfactory, you can just replace him with someone else. But there is only one husband, and there is no substitute. You need to change roles. Realize that your husband has zero experience in taking care of people. Accept this clearly, and watch him slowly grow in this area. Obviously, this is quite a test of one's mentality, but President Mo is not worried about this. She thinks that after so many years, she has come through a lot of things that have affected her mentality while working in the group. I've been through things that were worse and more devastating than this, so what else can affect me? In this regard, Mo Wan believed that she had also gone through many hardships and difficulties, and had the calmness and elegance to remain calm, even when faced with a mountain collapsing in front of her. Obviously, our chairman Mo has not yet been truly beaten, and has not realized what kind of baptism he will receive in the next 1 or 2 years or even several years. Arriving at an activity square in the community, Chen Jun quickly found the grandparents who were chatting with their 2 babies and other elderly people. The environment here is nice, the place is spacious, the grass is green, the trees are shady, and sometimes people pass by with their cats and dogs. Grandpa, Grandmas. Hey, Zioajin Ziota, why are you here? Grandma Chen was chatting here until the 2 of them came closer and called out to her, then she turned around and saw them. As for Grandpa Chen, he was watching others play chess on the side. It's nothing, I just remembered that the baby's diaper needs to be changed soon, so I came to check on him. Chen Jun and Wu Jiantao also greeted the other elderly people. Chapter 207, Home Affairs. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket tilde. We are old neighbors, why are you being so polite? An old lady came over, took Chen Jun's hand affectionately, and kept looking at her. It's so fast. It seems like it was only a short time ago when you ate malt with your mouth full when you were a child. It's a pity that our Xiaolong didn't have that blessing. Upon hearing this, Chen Jun suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Do you remember when you were little and played house? It can be seen that this grandmother is very nostalgic and is simply reminiscing about the past days with Chen Jun. Chen Jun did not think much about it and just looked at the baby and said a few words to her. As for the many interesting childhood stories mentioned above, Chen Jun actually doesn't have much memory. Compared with other carefree children, her childhood was shrouded in a faint shadow. Wu Jiantao, who was standing beside him, frowned slightly when he heard this. Xiaolong, this was the 3rd time he had heard the name since he came to Chen Jun's hometown, but he had never seen a living person. As for whether he was worried that the other party would cause trouble to the relationship between him and his wife. He didn't have a brain, so he wouldn't have any wild thoughts at this time, or even ask her in person who this person is and what is her relationship with him, which are typical brain-dead questions. Because it was still early pregnancy, Mo Wan's physical examination did not include many items, just some blood drawing, blood pressure measurement, etc. The doctor in the obstetrics and gynecology department looked at her body and was particularly surprised to see that she was almost 50 years old written on her medical record. He also said that she did not look like someone who was almost 50 years old at all and felt like she was in her 30s. Although this was just flattery, and it also reminded Mo Wan not to worry too much about her health problem, it did sound very comfortable and made her feel a lot more at ease. Therefore, at around 10 o'clock in the morning, Mo Wan, Chen Chu, and their life assistant Zia Wan returned home from the hospital. How is it? What did the doctor say? As soon as they entered the door, Grandma Chen came up and asked, Hey, why are you so anxious, old woman? The old man quickly pulled her. This kind of posture would make people very uncomfortable, especially the daughter-in-law now, who must be under a lot of pressure from the unexpected pregnancy. Learn yoga with Zia Ajahn. Mo Wan, however, acted as if nothing had happened, smiling gently and not looking stressed at all. It's okay, come on, come and sit down and take a rest. When they sat down to chat, Wu Jiantao did not stay but turned to go to the kitchen. Well, Chen Jun also came to help. Help me cut this vegetable. Remember the technique and tips I told you before. Look carefully and don't hesitate. Follow your eyes, heart, and hands. Job, job, job. In front of the chopping board, Chen Jun was chopping vegetables quickly with a kitchen knife. The carrot slices in his hand were cut very evenly and looked almost the same size. When she brought the cut vegetables to Wu Jiantao, she looked at her husband expectantly. Yeah, not bad. The cut of this dish is not very good yet. There are still many flaws. But in just 1 week, she was able to go from being clumsy with a knife to being able to cut vegetables to this level now, which once again proved that her learning ability is truly amazing. Wu Jiantao was also somewhat speechless. Was this the academic genius, or had the practice of Tibetan yoga in the past few months unlocked her talent in sports? Maybe she has both. She is indeed a genius with a high IQ. When it comes to studying, she always shows amazing talent and has almost no shortcomings. It's as if God has given her a cheat. At noon, the family had lunch together with the couple. It took more than 20 minutes to finish. There was no way, although Chen Jun had an amazing talent for cooking, he was not even qualified to be a kitchen helper. Take cutting vegetables, for example. It takes her about a minute to finish cutting, but for Wu Jiantao, it may take less than 10 seconds, and the cutting is almost perfect, not to mention other procedures which are even faster. Dinner is ready. Chen Jun brought a large pot of soup and placed it on the dining table in the yard. With a greeting, he attracted the attention of everyone in the living room. This soup I made today. Asparagus and lean meat soup. Chen Jun replied with a smile. This is the soup Jiang Tao made specifically for morning sickness. That's great, thank you for your hard work, Xiao Tao. The two elderly people who came over nodded. It was great to have a chef at home, especially one who could always adjust the menu according to each of their taste preferences and physical conditions. A table full of dishes was not difficult for even the two of them to eat. It was very easy. In the past week or two since Chen Jun returned home, grandparents have eaten a lot more, but the food tastes refreshing, and their bodies feel refreshed as well, and they are more energetic than before. This experience is very obvious. Mr. Mo also came over. He was immediately refreshed when he smelled the fresh and sweet scent in the air. He looked at the clear soup in the middle of the table and felt his mouth water. Seeing this, Father Chen came over and poured her a bowl of asparagus and lean meat soup without asking, "Here." She didn't hesitate, picked up the spoon and took a sip, and her eyes immediately lit up. Delicious. The most feared thing in early pregnancy is excessive morning sickness leading to loss of appetite. At this time, meals should avoid being high in oil and salt. It is best to show the original flavor of the food as much as possible to supplement the nutrition of pregnant women. Just like the asparagus and lean meat soup on the table, it can not only supplement the nutrients needed by the body, but also can avoid too greasy food. This dish has a light taste and delicious flavor. It will make pregnant women feel refreshed, temporarily forget the unpleasantness of morning sickness, and devote themselves to the delicious food. At this time, Wu Jiantao happened to bring over a plate of food from the kitchen. The fragrance wafting over made everyone look over again. Vinegar cabbage hearts. After telling the name of the dish, he carefully placed the dish on the table near Mo Wan. As soon as he put it down, the slightly sour taste of vinegar in the misty aroma became stronger. Mr. Mo couldn't help drooling before he even put it in his mouth. He immediately picked up a piece with his chopsticks and put it in his mouth. The sweet fragrance of the cabbage and the perfect taste of vinegar, lingering between the lips and teeth, completely conquered even the knowledgeable Mr. Mo. This is really what she likes now. Brush, brush, brush. With this dish, Mo Wan took several mouthfuls of rice and enjoyed it very much. Grandma Chen and Grandpa Chen opposite were very happy to see this. A good appetite is a good thing. They were just worried that Xiao was too old and had too much morning sickness to eat, which would not be good for the baby in her belly. Chapter 208, Night Talk. Please subscribe and vote tilde. Well, according to their years of experience, the older a woman is when she gets pregnant, the more severe her morning sickness reaction will be. Girls in their 20s may also experience morning sickness in the early stages of pregnancy, but it does not affect their appetite at all. For them, morning sickness and appetite are two different things. As people age, women in their 30s and 40s may experience severe morning sickness, bloating, and excessive stomach acid. After eating a few meals, they may feel something rising in their stomachs, like a fishbone stuck in their throats and unable to swallow. As the last dish was served, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun also took their seats and ate with their parents, grandparents. Delicious, Xiao Tao, your cooking skills are truly amazing. I feel like I've never eaten anything so delicious. Mr. Chen was eating so much that his forehead was sweating, and he couldn't help but praise him. No, actually my cooking skills are only slightly better than professional level. Wu Jiantao said modestly. It's mainly because I know you and everyone else's tastes better. I adjust the taste according to yours, and it tastes good. On second thought, it seemed to be true, but Chen Jun knew that her husband was being modest. His cooking skills were definitely much better than those professional chefs in big hotels. After lunch, before midnight, Chen Jun and Wu Jiantao left and went upstairs to wake up the two babies. Well, they needed to give them a bath. Here, Dad Chen was sent by his wife to wash the dishes, under the pretext that the second child was about to be born, and he had to learn and adapt to doing some housework. Chen Chu didn't dare to say anything about this, and quickly got up to do housework. Ziohe, my husband and I would like to ask you, what do you think about having a second baby? Should we have one or not? First of all, if you feel that you are too old and your body can't handle it, and you don't want this child, then we support you. After all, you are almost 50 years old, and you are worried that your body can't bear it. Mom, I want this child. Ah, really? Although they said so, when they heard their daughter-in-law's affirmative reply, Grandma Chen and Grandpa Chen couldn't help but show surprise on their faces. Really? Mo Wan didn't think much about the surprise on the two old people's faces, let alone the childish idea that they only cared about the children and not themselves. But can your body bear it? Although she was happy, Grandma Chen took Mo Wan's hand and patted it gently on the back of her hand. Don't force yourself. We two old guys are not ungrateful. We hope that you will be well. Mom, Dad, you don't have to worry about my health. I have been exercising all these years, and my physical condition is pretty good. The doctor also told me that I don't look like I'm almost 50 now. In particular, my physical condition is like I'm in my 30s. That being said, I think you still need to take good care of your body. It's best to follow Chinese medicine instead of Western medicine. Old Master Chen said in a deep voice, I think my father-in-law's level of Chinese medicine is quite high. The most important thing is that we can understand what he says. I understand. In this regard, whether it is Chinese medicine or Western medicine, being able to explain a disease very clearly is a very rare thing. This kind of explanation is not as simple as explaining the pathology, but explaining the characteristics and causes of the disease in a very easy-to-understand way, and telling the patient about diet, work, and rest, and even what kind of exercise is beneficial to physical recovery, etc., clearly and understandably. Because all famous doctors know that curing diseases is not just about treating the headache or the foot pain. The so-called diseases are actually imbalances in the body, which are the final result of small problems accumulating over time. Therefore, it is very necessary to understand the patient's daily routine, diet, and even some habits in life. Just like now, whether it is Chinese medicine or Western medicine, no matter what disease it is, they will tell you not to eat raw or cold food. It is not enough to know the source of the disease in the body. We also need to tell the patient based on his physical schedule, diet, and lifestyle habits, such as not to eat too much of what he likes to eat, not to stay up before 11 o'clock, and so on. Grandpa Wu has seen too much in this regard. Just like the young people nowadays, almost none of them do not stay up late. The key is that the pressure of life and work is still very high, so most of them have some minor health problem. For example, the old man has cured several young people from recurring skin diseases, such as seborrheic dalitis, a very stubborn disease. But young people always cause trouble. More than one of these young people relapsed after being cured and came to the old man to say, "You said it would get better. Why didn't it get better completely? Here it comes again," etc. Then the old man, who had seen a lot of things, was very calm and asked him, "Do you go to bed before 11 o'clock every night? Have you kept a light diet for a long time?" Usually at this time, young people would be speechless for a while, then think about it, and even say confidently, "Isn't it enough to go to bed early and eat light food when taking medicine and moxibustion? Why is it so troublesome?" Trouble. The old man was so angry that he laughed. But what can he do with these young people who often stay up late? As a doctor, he can only patiently explain to them why their skin diseases always recur, and the root cause is diet and staying up late. First of all, it is believed by both Chinese and Western medicine that diseases come from the mouth. Diet will affect the endocrine balance of the human body's internal organs to a great extent. A diet with more vegetables, fruits, lean meat, less oil, and less salt is the best. However, if you eat a lot of meat, barbecue, beer, red and white drinks every day, it is natural that the debuffs such as the 3 highs, mental fatigue, cold waist and knees, and premature ejaculation will be accumulated. Secondly, don't stay up late. Don't stay up late. Don't stay up late. The liver stores blood. When people rest and sleep at night, the blood returns to the liver. If you stay up too late, the liver blood will not be nourished, which will cause blood circulation disorders in the body over time and lead to overall energy deficiency. For these young people, staying up late doesn't seem to have any effect. At worst, they can sleep until noon, and then wake up full of energy as if nothing had happened. Well, to them, it seems that seborrheic dermatitis is just a skin disease. But in Grandpa Wu's opinion, this disease is a manifestation of their staying up late and damaging the liver, and the first part affected by liver damage is the skin. Their seborrheic dermatitis is the most serious condition that damages the skin. From the perspective of traditional Chinese medicine, this disease originates from the internal organs and spreads deep into the skin. People who have had this disease know that the pain is so painful that it is like a terminal illness. It won't get better. I went to a big hospital and got all kinds of food, drinks, lotions, and washes, but none of them worked. The symptoms got better a little, but then the disease came back again after a while. The key is that after repeating this several times, you will find that the various medicines you take, apply, and wash will lose their effectiveness. Don't forget that the human body is resistant to drugs. At this point, the disease is basically equivalent to a terminal illness, and the patient can only let the disease torment him and suffer terribly. Mr. Wu also found that most other skin diseases among young people today also suffer from this situation. To him, this was simply absurd, because there is only one best prescription for this chronic disease, which is to go to bed before 11 o'clock, supplemented with decoctions, acupuncture, moxibustion, and anti-inflammatory drugs, which can immediately relieve the itching. After slowly conditioning for 10 days, won't the white flakes and facial rheumatism be completely cured? What's going on? Chapter 209, Chen Jun's Power. Please subscribe and vote tilde. During the past few months of receiving treatment from Grandpa Wu, or to be more precise, it was not treatment but conditioning, Grandpa Chen could clearly feel the changes in his body. Before this, I would feel a little breathless after walking for a while. It was okay to go up 2 or 3 floors to an old friend's house, but it would be difficult to climb any further. After following Grandpa Wu's instructions to perform moxibustion, make proper dietary adjustments, and practice the Wu Qinzai movements continuously, Grandpa Chen's entire spirit and energy changed. Not only did his fatigue and shortness of breath gradually disappear, his sleep quality also improved, and he walked longer and climbed higher stairs. Of course, things like being able to climb to the 5th floor in one breath are pure advertising nonsense. Conditioning is just conditioning, and it can make the body better, but it is not so easy to exercise the body to do this at his age. After all, the body is old, and the foundation for training is almost gone. It's like a smart TV that has been used for many years. When it is stuck, you can restore it to factory settings and it can run smoothly again, but no matter how you restore it to factory settings, there is no hardware space to improve performance. Feeling the changes in his own body over the past few months, Grandpa Chen highly praised his father-in-law. He has recommended several old friends in the alley to move south, and after receiving the old man's medical treatment and conditioning, their health has gradually improved. Traditional Chinese medicine is not a magical medical skill. It is just a medical skill, not a panacea. Those who are willing to accept Grandpa Chen's suggestion to go south to see Grandpa Wu for treatment all have serious health problems and are accompanied by various underlying diseases that are quite difficult to treat. However, Grandpa Wu did not turn them away, but enthusiastically received them and gave very specific treatment plans. And they once again witnessed the old man's unique treatment method. It is not as simple as prescribing a few medicines, but a comprehensive and diversified treatment method ranging from 3 meals a day, to body massage therapy, acupuncture, and moxibustion, to the 5 animal exercises to complement the treatment. It is worth mentioning that one of the elderly people was diagnosed in the hospital at the beginning of the year with a primary tumor in his right kidney that had metastasized to the lungs. He was in stage IV cancer, and the doctor estimated that he only had 3 months, or at most half a year, to live. In Mr. Wu's treatment plan, the treatment of this patient was also the most cautious. During the diagnosis and treatment process, he not only carefully read the medical record, various reports and CT scans, but also the process of observation, auscultation, questioning, and palpation lasted for quite a long time. What's interesting is that when asking this question, Mr. Wu didn't ask about the patient's physical condition or where he felt uncomfortable. Instead, he asked if he felt uncomfortable here, right, or if he sweated at some point in the middle of the night, or if he felt pain and couldn't fall asleep. This stage is the most magical. Patients often feel very magical at this time, as if their life since the onset of various physical discomforts has been carried out under the other person's gaze. In fact, through the first and second steps of looking and smelling, combined with the patient's medical history and report, Mr. Wu already has a clear understanding of the circulation of qi and blood in the patient's internal organs. However, in order to ensure that there are no omissions in his grasp of all aspects of the patient's body, he naturally needs to further confirm this step with the patient and make some fine adjustment. The treatment plan that Wu Lao gave to the old man was the most complex and specific among the several old friends in their community. It required long-term conditioning of medicines, extremely specific dietary taboos, and supplemented by acupuncture, moxibustion, massage, and other physical therapies. And the most important thing, Grandpa Wu's unique treatment method, 5 animal exercises adjusted according to the patient's physical condition. In fact, this set of movements is the core of the old man's entire conditioning plan. It is a special treatment plan based on his concept that the human body is a great medicine. The most important thing in this process is to inspire the patient's confidence. As long as the patient is willing, combined with the practice of the 5 animal exercises, supplemented by specific treatments such as decoctions, acupuncture, moxibustion, and massage, it may not be possible to cure the disease, but it can preserve and stimulate the patient's life foundation as much as possible, prolong life, and ensure quality of life. Under Wu Lao's care, nearly 3 months have passed. Although the old man has inevitably lost a lot of weight, his 3 meals a day are still normal. He is in good spirits and can even walk. A few days ago, he went to the hospital for a follow-up checkup. When he walked in front of the doctor who had treated him, he was startled by surprise. It was so close that the other party thought he had seen a ghost. His physical and mental state also shocked the doctor. From the perspective of Western medicine, this is simply a medical miracle. According to the progression of the old man's illness, he should be bedridden at this stage, skinny as a stick, unable to eat, and only able to survive with intravenous drips. But he can stand, walk, eat, and sleep, which seems to be a normal illness. However, the doctor who treated this old man couldn't understand it. This is cancer. After a physical examination, the primary tumor in the right kidney and the secondary tumor in the lung were still there and were still spreading. The various indicators of the body were still not up to standard, but they were tending to be normal. This time, the old man came for a follow-up examination and to get a prescription for targeted drugs. Well, according to Grandpa Wu's instructions, you should continue to take this medicine. It will be good for your condition. This medical miracle aroused the doctor's great interest. He actually asked the old man for Wu Lao's phone number. Then, despite his family's objection, he went south to Q City alone to find Wu Lao and asked to become his disciple to learn medical skills in front of him. This is a later story. Chen Jun had heard about this matter before when he was on the phone with his family. He was also very interested. He had been studying and researching the theory of traditional Chinese medicine with Wu Jiangtao, and then he summarized a very interesting theory, which even Grandpa Wu found very interesting. Well, this scholar said the following: if medicine is compared to physics, then Western medicine studies it from an experimental perspective, while Chinese medicine studies it from a mathematical perspective. Which one is the root of Western medicine is experimentation, while the root of Chinese medicine is the mathematics of Chinese medicine, which is a logic based on the Book of Changes, integrated by the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine, and represented by yin and yang and the 5 elements. Therefore, Chinese medicine talks about the rise and fall of yin and yang, dryness, heat, coldness, and dampness. This set of mathematical system formed by traditional Chinese medicine cannot be based on organs, viruses, cells, or components. If traditional Chinese medicine talks about this, it is pseudo-traditional Chinese medicine, just like there cannot be objective concepts such as elements, atomic nuclei, and chemical bonds in mathematics. In other words, traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine are both medicine, but the establishment of their systems and the concepts they start from are 2 different dimensions. They cannot be confused, let alone compared, but they can complement each other in treatment. TCM is to medicine what mathematics is to science. It is the background for organizing and describing these concepts. The essence of TCM treatment is to adjust the balance of the set of symbols of yin and yang and the 5 elements, just like proving an equation in mathematics. From this perspective, TCM is not about curing viruses, organs, or even diseases, but about adjusting the harmonious balance of life energy. Health is just a natural product of the balance of the body's life energy. It's like using 2 apples to represent 1 + 1 = 2, or 2 peaches or 2 watermelons. Similarly, we can also use many forms such as physiology, psychology, cognition, clothing, food, housing, transportation, living environment, accessories, and even medicine and exercise to represent yin and yang and the 5 elements. This is why Chinese medicine emphasizes the treatment of both body and mind, and is not limited to the form of treatment. That's why Chinese medicine in China has developed treatments that include not only Chinese herbal decoctions, but also acupuncture, cupping, massage, moxibustion, massage, and even pedicure. This is a diverse and integrated treatment method. No wonder the old man often says it's conditioning rather than treatment. However, TCM still faces some problem. Many mathematical formulas in TCM have not been universally verified for safety by the medical community, which has caused great trouble for the promotion of TCM. At the end of the summary, Chen Jun also put forward his own insights and views on the difficulties and problems currently faced by traditional Chinese medicine, which completely shocked Wu Jiantao. "Wife, I think Chinese medicine needs you." He flattered her sincerely. Chapter 210, a guest came to ask for subscription and monthly ticket tilde. That being said, Chen Jun did not really intend to give up his current career and turn to traditional Chinese medicine. It was just that after being with Wu Jiantao, he saw too many magical things in traditional Chinese medicine and became very interested, so he studied the theory of traditional Chinese medicine in a more systematic way. She could see that Chinese medicine was quite profound. Although this discipline, which had been passed down in China for thousands of years, had the word medicine in its name, it was actually not medicine in essence, but a discipline that regulates the human body's life energy system and even the interaction of the yin and yang and 5 elements of heaven and earth. To study Chinese medicine, one needs to master more than just medical skills. One must also have a very deep and unique understanding of many classics of Chinese traditional culture, such as the yin and yang and 5 elements, the I Ching and 8 trigrams, and the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine. One must also be able to innovate on the basis of the rich system, summarized by predecessors, and construct a new era of Chinese medicine. Therefore, although Chen Jun was interested in this very wonderful subject, she did not devote herself to studying it, because she was more passionate about her career and ideals in graduate school. Chen Jun also thought the same thing when his grandfather suggested that his mother go south to Q City to let Grandpa Wu treat her health from the perspective of traditional Chinese medicine. The day after the old man made the suggestion, Dad Chen took Mr. Mo on a flight to the southern city of Q. Also accompanying them were bodyguard Xiao Yi and personal assistant Xiao Huan. Almost as soon as Mo Wan and Chen Chu left, several guests from Chen Jun's family came to her hometown in Kyoto. Uncle Aunt. Chen Jun, who opened the door, was holding her younger sister Daodu. Well, as she grew up, she became more and more noisy. Even Wu Jiantao couldn't comfort her when she started to make a fuss, so he had to hold her. "Xiaojun, where are your grandparents?" "As they went out for a walk. Uncle and aunt, please come in quickly, come in quickly." Chen Jun quickly made way to let his uncle and aunt in. Behind them followed a little boy who looked to be about 10 years old. "Quick, call cousin." The aunt pulled the little boy and asked him to call for help, but his face turned red and he didn't dare to look at Chen Jun. He tried to speak, but couldn't say a word. What's wrong with you? I always teach you to call for help." "Aunt, it's okay." Chen Jun smiled at her little cousin's reaction. Most of the little boys of similar age around her had the same reaction when they saw her. "Cousin." As his mother was speaking angrily, the little boy finally cried out. Chen Jun smiled and nodded at him nonchalantly. Suddenly, his face turned even redder. Chen Jun was speechless as she watched. Children nowadays are so precocious. What if Mao becomes like this in the future? At this moment, she forgot that she was also a child who rarely called people, and was even shy and introverted, and didn't talk much. Seeing that there were guests at home, Wu Jiantao finished his standing meditation and came down from the upstairs. Well, Chen Jun was also practicing Tibetan yoga in the morning. "Ha, you must be Wu Jiantao, right? I've always wanted to find a chance to come to your house and meet you in person. Finally, I see you in person. Hello, I'm Chen Jun's uncle Mo Wanrong." My uncle Mo Wanrong wore gold-rimmed glasses, was about 1.8 meters tall, was very handsome, and looked very elegant, giving people a feeling of a spring breeze. Looking at her appearance, you can tell where Chen Jun's beauty comes from. Although Mo Wan cannot be said to be very pretty, through her uncle Mo Wanrong, you can know that her beauty is inherited from the Mo family. Also, because Chen Jun's appearance is very similar to the facial features of the Mo family, she is also very popular with the elders of the Mo family, especially her grandparents. The Mo family even gave her shares in some family industries, including 2% of the shares of Fei Yun Group. After sitting down and chatting for a while, Wu Jiantao got to know the man named Mo Wanrong in more detail. He is the current BG CEO of Fei Yun Group's marketing. Well, he also plays the role of General Manager of Marketing, but with the transformation of the group, the title of his position has changed, and the content of his responsibilities has also been enriched a lot. In the Mo family in Province C, Mo Wanrong and Mo Wan are cousins, not biological siblings. As soon as they sat down, Mo Wanrong started chatting with Chen Jun about their family affairs, especially telling Wu Jiantao about the interesting fact that Chen Jun looked like the Mo family. "Haha, Xiao Tao, take a closer look. Do Xiao Jun and I look alike?" "It does look a bit like that." Wu Jiantao looked at him, then at his wife's expression of anger and joy, and found that the charm of their facial features was indeed very similar. The aunt beside her was also smiling. Well, her appearance was only above average. She was not very pretty, but she was definitely a standard beauty. She was in the same class as Mo Wanrong in college, and she won him over in one fell swoop. The two of them graduated smoothly, got jobs, and got married. It was not until the two of them got married that she found out that her boyfriend was actually a member of the Mo family in Province C at the grand wedding. Many of her classmates who attended the wedding also learned of this. Many female classmates immediately beat their chests and stamped their feet, but she was also very happy. Originally, I pursued Mo Wanrong because of his looks, thinking that even if he didn't have much money in this life, his looks would be enough to please me and feed me for the rest of my life. It's really planted, and the willow trees have grown into shade. She smiled and watched her husband talking to Chen Jun and Wu Jiangtao, but she didn't say much. After chatting about family matters, Mo Wanrong finally told Chen Jun the real purpose of his visit. Chen Jun frowned slightly, shook his head and said, "Ah, uncle, you don't really want to be the CEO of the group's marketing business, but it's useless for you to tell me this. No, you underestimate yourself." The uncle smiled and said, "You also have 2% of the shares of Feiyan Group given to you by my mother, that is, your grandmother. You are an alternate director of our group. As long as you are willing to speak up, it will still be of some use. As long as you support me, I can serve as the director of the group's strategic investment committee." Chen Jun frowned even deeper. "Uncle, I have never been involved in the affairs of the group company, and I don't know the specific situation. You asked me to support you at this time. Does my mother know about this?" "Alas, that's the problem." Mo Wanrong sighed. "Over the years, my achievements in the group's consumer marketing business have been recognized by everyone in the group. I am also a member of the investment committee and have brought very rich projects and returns to the group's strategic investments. Now, I just want to unload the burden on me and serve as the director of the investment committee, or even as the deputy director." Chapter 211, Like Mother, Like Daughter. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket tilde. After a pause, he continued, "This way I can have more time to rest and spend time with my family. After all, I have never relaxed in these years. I work overtime almost every day, you know. In my position, I can almost be said to have no holidays all year round. For ordinary office workers, they can rest and play on weekends, but I don't. On weekends, I am either on a plane or on the way to the airport. I am too tired." "Uncle, you can talk to my mother about this yourself. It's not that I don't want to talk to her in person, but I don't know how to face her." At this point, Mo Wanrong couldn't help but show a little embarrassment on his face. After all, it was his eldest sister who had overcome all objections and let him lead the group's consumer business, which had given wings to the group's development in recent years. As for the reason why he had to be transferred now, it's not that he wants to escape, but... "By the way, I heard someone say that your mother is pregnant." Mo Wanrong suddenly asked this question inadvertently, his eyes fixed on his niece opposite him. Chen Jun's face was calm, without showing any strange expression. "Uncle, where did you hear that?" Her uncle suddenly looked embarrassed, and he didn't know what he was thinking. "Don't I have a few friends in this community?" He saw the news in the community WeChat group. Chen Jun nodded. "Yes, my mother is pregnant." "Really?" At this moment, Mo Wanrong's eyes flashed with ecstasy, but he suppressed it forcefully and asked hastily, "Did she say how the group's work would be arranged next?" "How do you arrange it?" Chen Jun looked at him strangely. "My mother is still in the early stages of pregnancy and can work, so what else do we need to arrange?" "Forehead." At this moment, an unnatural look flashed across the uncle's face, but he quickly calmed down and said calmly, "Xiao Jun, you don't know the current situation of the group. Now the United States has dealt a heavy blow to our most critical core business in the name of national security. Now our group's technological advantages cannot be brought into play, and the consumer market has also been greatly affected. Now." Mo Wanrong talked a lot and finally concluded, "Because the group is facing such a serious situation now, she can't leave Mr. Mo at all. She must be with the group in the current crisis. If she has to temporarily leave the group because of her pregnancy, then the group will definitely be more turbulent. That's why I want to know if Mr. Mo has any subsequent arrangement. Do you understand?" Chen Jun smiled and glanced at him. "I understand." I don't know why, but at this moment, when the uncle saw the look in his niece's eyes, he couldn't help but feel weak inside, as if he was facing his own eldest sister. Is this an illusion, or is it true that like mother, like daughter? At around 10 o'clock in the morning, my uncle Mo Wanrong took his wife and son and said goodbye. When they left, the grandparents kept asking them to stay a little longer and have lunch together at home. But at this moment, their son suddenly started making a fuss, saying that he didn't want to eat white rice, vegetables, or anything cooked at home, and said, Didn't you tell me in the morning that you wanted to have kendaki and McDavid for lunch? Well, they had been prepared in advance. Grandpa Chen and Grandma Chen could see that they really didn't want to stay and eat with us, so they left. After his uncle and his family left, Chen Jun frowned for a while, then took out his cell phone and called Secretary Hu in his mother's office to find out the current situation of the group company, and then fell into deep thought. As she was thinking, Chen Jun suddenly thought of Bai Xiaoyuan's boyfriend Lu Zhou. It was the science genius who was protected by her husband, Yuan Huang, and her mother-in-law from being harmed by the Shadow Brigade. The mathematical model he created, well, if I remember correctly, this model can greatly improve the level of industrial production precision in terms of industrial applications. It was also because of this that Chen Jun obtained Lu Zhou's research paper and model application materials through her own tutor, and she happened to discover this in the field of mathematics and physics, which she was good at. Well, she remembered it very clearly. With the resurgence of China, its economic strength has become stronger and stronger. Especially the development of chips has been rapid in recent years, which has aroused the vigilance and suppression of the United States and Europe in the West. This is not. This year, these idiots finally took a heavy hand against Feiyun Group, which had broken through the blockade in the chip field. They directly tore up the contract and terminated the chip production cooperation with Feiyun Group. They would rather pay a sky-high penalty than see Feiyun Group come to this field and compete with them. This is what is called a bottleneck. Chen Jun, who works at the Research Institute, has a deep understanding of this aspect. For example, 3 years ago, when she was a sophomore, she experienced something like this. Citing national security, the United States forcibly terminated the copyright granting of an industrial design software to major manufacturers and universities in China. Chen Jun happened to be learning that software. Fortunately, in this field of industrial design software, there have always been software companies competing in China. However, in the past, they said that the software they designed was suppressed by the West and could not be promoted very well in the Red Ocean market. The software could not be promoted and applied, so the improvement and upgrading of the software was slower and slower, and it could not keep up with the development speed of Western software. This time, although the relevant aspects of China were greatly affected, a domestic software giant responded quickly and concentrated all its research and development effort. In just less than 3 months, it raised the development level of the previous generation of software to about 90% of the level of Western industrial design software. In particular, their software is in Chinese, and although it is still a little worse in some details, the experience is much better than the development software provided by the West. By the time the software company in the United States realized what was happening, the Chinese market had already completely abandoned them. That's going too far. Back to the issue of the chip that is holding Feiyun Group back. China currently has the ability to design and produce chips within 10 nm. There are many insurmountable hurdles from design to production, such as the lens accuracy of the lithography machine. For example, some parts cannot be produced by machines because they have very high requirements for precision and must be manually polished by many engineers who spend a lot of time. Yes, many problems ultimately come down to a question of precision. Chapter 212, What Are You Doing? Please subscribe and vote tilde. After lunch, Chen Jun took care of the 2 babies until they fell asleep, then sat down at the desk, writing and calculating. Lu Zhou invented the LZ model according to his own application idea. In terms of mask alignment and printing of fine patterns on silicon wafers, the accuracy should be able to be improved to at least 5 nm. According to her own estimate in the afternoon, after further optimization and improvement, it should be able to quickly increase to 4 nm or even 3 nm. Of course, this can only be achieved in experiments at the Research Institute. As for what level can be achieved after industrial production, she is not an engineer at Feiyun Group and cannot give a very specific estimate. After all this busy work, when she came to her senses, it was almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was the crying of 2 babies that woke her up from her work. Oh, don't cry, mommy is coming, mommy is coming. After finishing work, Chen Jun quickly turned around, picked up her sister Daodu, who was making the most noise, and immediately opened the warehouse to release the food. Then Wu Jiantao also reported to her brother Miao, who was also starving and could not be comforted. The 2 little guys were standing on the left and right, each holding a granary in their mouths, and they were eating very ferociously. Now I finally understand why the LZ model created by Lu Zhou attracted the Shadow Troop. Oh, what? She suddenly mentioned Lu Zhou and the LZ model, and Wu Jiantao was unable to keep up with her pace for a while. He gave her a reproachful look, and she explained a little bit. Then Wu Jiantao realized that his wife was talking about the difficulties that Feiyun Group was facing now. This LZ model created by Lu Zhou is so important? Well, the original intention of the LZ model he developed was actually for nuclear fusion. It's just that in the field I'm currently researching, I found that it can greatly improve the accuracy of industrial production. In other words, according to your idea, this LZ model can solve the difficulties that Feiyan Group is facing now. Well, I estimated it this afternoon, and it will definitely be solved. At least I won't be stuck again. Oh, those. Wu Jiantao looked at his wife thoughtfully, then gently took the two little ones who were full and finally stopped making trouble, and put them gently in the crib. As soon as they were put on the bed, both Daodu and Maomio looked unhappy. They turned their heads and looked at their mother over there, babbling and occasionally making a few mom sounds unconsciously. Chen Jun's heart melted when she heard it. It usually takes about 11 or 12 months to 1 year for a baby to be able to call mom or dad consciously. From the age of 3 or 4 months, the baby's vocalization tones begin to become richer, and sometimes they can even say oh. At this time, they are no longer just crying. When they are 7 or 8 months old, they can make a lot of overlapping sounds, such as ba-ba and mama, and can say a series of repeated words, but they are not aware of it at this time. Sometimes they make a series of dad, but they are not really calling dad. Around the age of 1, babies begin to consciously understand some words and will look at their mother's face and say mom, look at their father's face and say dad, for example, look at the lamp and say light. At this time, they can understand the meaning of language, which is a sign that the baby can speak. Perhaps because they slept too long in the afternoon, the two little ones woke up this time in the afternoon and did not fall asleep again until after dinner at home. Wu Jiantao looked at their diapers. What? Fortunately, it's not too big. I'll change it before going to bed at night to prevent them from wetting the mattress again tomorrow morning. Now Daodu and Maomio rarely get up at night to feed and basically sleep through the night. Although Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun are not sure how many times they urinate at night, if they don't change their diapers before going to bed, most likely the diaper alone will not be able to hold their urine tomorrow morning, and it will seep out and directly wet the mattress. This way, the two babies can easily catch a cold, so we must be very careful. Why have you been looking at me since this afternoon? Since the afternoon, Chen Jun has noticed that Wu Jiantao always looks at her with a strange look. At first, she thought there was something wrong with her. But I am obviously fine, I have nothing. Try practicing Tibetan yoga now. Wu Jiantao blinked. Maybe there will be a surprise, if he was not mistaken. Surprise? What kind of surprise could there be? Chen Jun was a little confused but still listened to her husband. She spread out the yoga mat and stood on it to do a Tibetan yoga pose. She gently closed her eyes. The next moment, she could clearly feel. My heart seemed to have turned into a lake on the snowy plateau, reflecting the endless blue sky. The lake was like a mirror, and there seemed to be a surge of thoughts in it. There was a huge light flashing, as if something was gestating and looking forward to it. All of a sudden, Chen Jun opened her eyes, full of surprise, because when she came out of her tranquility, the state of mind she had just entered disappeared instantly. The wonderful perception and the scene of the heavenly lake that seemed to be truly in her heart made her extremely surprised. How does it feel? What physical image does your mind correspond to? Seeing her reaction, Wu Jiantao nodded, confirming that he was not mistaken in the afternoon. It's a lake. Chen Jun gently closed his eyes, feeling the wonderful changes in his body and mind. The universe is spiritual. Mind and matter are one. Spiritualization transforms the heart of Tao. Mind and matter transform each other. The mind is the substance. The spirit is the appearance. The mind creates matter. The spirit derives consciousness. The mind gives rise to the Dharma, and consciousness gives rise to emotions and wisdom. The Dharma is the supernatural power, and emotions and wisdom respond to each other. The general outline of the Tantric Yoga visualization method flowed through her mind. She could clearly feel that her mind became more lively, and her body seemed to become transparent and light. When feeling his own body, Chen Jun could clearly feel that there was still a small narrow area of congestion below his lower abdomen. It's my own wound. At this moment, she could clearly feel that the meridians and blood here were not flowing smoothly. It turned out that this area had not healed completely. In the past month or two, I didn't feel any pain here, and I could move very freely. I thought there was no problem anymore. What? If you apply matcha oil and massage moderately, the congestion will be completely cleared in a month or two. After feeling the wonderful changes in his body and mind, Chen Jun raised his head again, only to see someone staring at him straight and had approached him without him noticing. Bang bang. Her face flushed slightly, her heart pounding. What are you doing? Someone approached. It's Dawn. Chapter 213 Brother's Voice is loud. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket Tilda. Above the rooftop, we could hear the flock of pigeons from the neighboring house flying around again. The sound of their wings flapping as they circled and danced was heard. Occasionally, a few pigeons landed on the rooftop and made cooing sound. A faint pale sky also appeared in the eastern sky, and the sky gradually began to brighten. Call. Chen Jun, still sweating profusely and with a blush on her face, walked into the bathroom. She felt her hands and feet go weak, and her steps were unconsciously a little. Cough. She had just closed the door when a hand suddenly reached in from outside and pulled the door shut. What are you doing? Seeing the door opened again, Chen Jun quickly covered herself with clothes, staring at him shyly and annoyed. Get out. I need to take a shower and change clothes. Together. Wu Jiantao was also sweating, and he looked over lazily. His eyes really scared her. No, get out. She forced the guy out, closed the door, and locked it immediately to prevent anyone from getting in. Wu Jiantao. No. He stood outside in a daze for a while. Then he realized what was going on and immediately didn't know whether to laugh or cry. No, I didn't have that idea. I just wanted to take a shower and change my clothes. Don't want. The shower was turned on inside, and Chen Jun, who was being showered with hot water, closed her eyes comfortably. The greasy feeling finally slowly faded from her body. Well, Wu Jiantao could only stand outside and wait awkwardly. After a while, Chen Jun, who had just washed and changed her clothes, finally opened the door. A burst of fragrant and warm water vapor and the beautiful scene blew towards him, which made someone's heart warm again. As soon as he had some thoughts, Chen Jun, who was facing him, immediately sensed it and quickly moved to the side, glaring at him fiercely. Be more restrained, even if your body can bear it. You have to consider whether my body can bear it now, brother. Well, this call of brother was extremely natural and smooth, obviously because he called me too much last night. Wu Jiantao chuckled, and as he turned to go into the bathroom, he said with a muffled laugh, Since you have sincerely called me brother, I will mercifully let you go. You called me that very well and continue next time. Well, when the battle is at a stalemate, this title comes naturally. Tang. Chen Jun outside the door then realized that he had just called him brother so naturally, and his face was immediately flushed with shame and annoyance. Damn it, it was all this guy's fault. Not only did he call me brother, he actually instigated me. I called him. So embarrassing. This bastard, that's too much. The strange thing is that even though the two of them had hardly slept all night, they were both full of energy and showed no signs of fatigue or soreness at all. Especially Chen Jun. When she came down to the second floor, the two elders, who were wearing reading glasses, were stunned. That fair, rosy, radiant face was truly captivating. Even Grandma Chen, who had watched her grow up, couldn't help but look her up and down while she was eating breakfast. Xiaojun, are you going out this morning? No. Chen Jun pouted and blew on the soup dumpling in her hand. She turned her head and looked at her grandmother in surprise. Why are you asking that? No, I see you look like you're wearing makeup and going out. You're not wearing makeup. No. Grandma Chen also came over and immediately realized what was going on with her granddaughter. She turned around and looked at Wu Jiantao, who was coming over from the opposite side. But I saw this kid walking towards me steadily with a pot of soy milk. He looked energetic and his eyes were bright, and he didn't look like he was doing anything excessive, did he? That's right. This kid is a warrior and seems to be a star master. I guess it won't have much impact, but even if he is strong and healthy, he can't be tortured like this. She felt a little sorry for her granddaughter. With this thought in mind, the old man still looked at the two young people who were sitting and eating breakfast with a serious look. You guys, don't rely on your youth and good health. You need to be moderate. Moderate. Do you understand? Puff. The two young men who were drinking soy milk almost spit out the soy milk in their mouths. Wu Jiantao had amazing control and suppressed his breath and swallowed the soy milk. Chen Jun was choked and kept coughing. His little face turned red. I don't know if it was because I was choked or because I was shy. At this moment, the couple looked at each other. Both of them were extremely embarrassed, especially Chen Jun, who was really embarrassed and ashamed, thinking that it was because his voice was too loud last night and disturbed them. Grandma specifically said this to me during breakfast. Fortunately, Grandpa finished breakfast earlier than them and went out for a walk. Otherwise, Chen Jun would have dug a hole in the ground to create a 3-bedroom, 2-living-room apartment and crawled right in, never to come out. The old man stopped talking without saying anything else. He stood up, packed up his dishes, and left. It's all your fault, it's all your fault, it's all your fault. As soon as she turned and left, Chen Jun immediately became angry and stretched out his hand to keep adjusting the frequency of the soft flesh on Wu Jiangtao's waist, sometimes 90 degrees, sometimes 180 degrees, sometimes 360 degrees, pinching him so hard that he grimaced. Grandpa and Grandma heard it last night. Ah, Wu Jiangtao, if you tease me like this again next time, I will never let you go. Did they hear it? Wu Jiangtao quickly grabbed Chen Jun's hand that kept attacking him and said in astonishment, Grandpa and Grandma didn't hear it. I could feel that Grandpa and Grandma were breathing very slowly all night last night and slept very well. They were not disturbed by us. With his current 5 senses, although he could not feel the entire courtyard, he could sense some movements within 3 meters. Coincidentally, the straight line distance to my grandparents' room downstairs is within this range. No. Chen Jun looked at him suspiciously, but she just said that. You just told her this yourself, sister. Wu Jiangtao said that it was more unfair than Du Yi. What? She finally reacted at this time and immediately looked embarrassed. She quickly changed her pinching movements to kneading. Are you okay? It doesn't hurt, let me help you rub it. I'm sick. Someone hummed. Tell me what's wrong with you, I'll help you cure it. If I don't kiss, the soft flesh on my side will always hurt, oh no. This guy was pinched again. Since they had consumed a lot last night, Chen Jun and Wu Jiangtao's appetite in the morning more than doubled. At the table, the two of them played and ate at the same time, so it was inevitable that they spent more time eating. Chen Jun was still eating the pan-fried dumplings made by her grandmother when her cell phone on the table suddenly rang. I looked down and saw it was Li Xiaoshan. Chapter 214 Mobile Phone Subscription Request for Monthly Ticket tilde. Hey, why are you calling me? When he picked up the phone, Chen Jun didn't speak politely at all. Ah, I miss you so much, Xiaoshan, when will you come back? Hee, I see you're thinking about our family's food, right? What do you mean I miss your family's food? I just think that we sisters haven't had a meal together for a long time. Someone was stubborn. Hehe, I'm not saying anything bad about you, but didn't your husband learn cooking from Brother Tao? Bah, and our husband for quite a long time. I heard him say that my cousin's cooking skills are far from being that of a great chef, but when it comes to Sichuan cuisine, especially your favorite dishes, he has 90% of his cooking skills. Li Xiaoshan. There was silence on the other end of the phone, but he quickly responded, Oh, let's not talk about this. Lu Zhou just happened to have something to do in Kyoto, and it's the National Day holiday. We plan to go to Kyoto for a vacation and find you by the way. Let's have a meal together, huh? Chen Jun hit the nail on the head with just one sentence. No matter what you say, you still have to eat, and she believes that she has a very accurate grasp of someone's foodie attribute. What are you talking about? We haven't seen Grandpa Chen and Grandma Chen for a while. We specially visited the old people and even prepared gifts. Comrade Chen Jun, your idea is wrong and it is even more unacceptable. Stop. When are you coming? Just got off the plane. Chen Jun. Sensing her best friend's surprise, Li Xiaoshan on the other end laughed wildly, surprised, unexpected, happy. Surprise, unexpected happiness, you big head ghost. Chen Jun couldn't help but roll his eyes, and Wu Jiangtao beside him was also slightly stunned. Li Xiaoshan and the others are here. Really? After thinking about it, he couldn't help but laugh. This guy is really. He actually came here during the rare National Day holiday and even ignored his family for the sake of delicious food. Chen Jun hung up the phone angrily and threw the phone onto the table, placing it on top of Wu Jiangtao's phone. Li Xiaoshan and the others are coming. She said sullenly. It's a good thing that they come to play. Why are you so depressed? Why? Chen Jun opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say for a moment. He just felt a little unhappy. Wu Jiangtao's heart moved, and he understood what his wife was thinking. He smiled and said, Why, don't you want others to eat the food cooked by your husband? The girl glanced at him and said rudely, Yeah, the food my husband cooks can only be for me and the baby. Well, at most my dad, mom, grandparents, your dad, mom, grandparents, I don't like other people. Although she said so, her subtext was, You can only belong to me, and no one else can share you with me. Cannot. Even best friends are not allowed, although these two best friends of hers, well, Bai Xiaoyuan has been getting closer and closer to them recently, and they can be considered one of her best friends. Even though they all have families, Chen Jun still feels uncomfortable and a little upset. Okay, I belong to you alone. I won't say no if you say so. At worst, if they come, we can just take them out for dinner. Wu Jiangtao was coaxing her when he suddenly saw their stacked cell phones. His heart moved, and he said with a wicked smile, Hey, your phone is on top of my phone. What? How dare I put my phone on top of yours? No way. Chen Jun rolled her eyes at him in reproach. Oh, so you like to be on top. Okay, no problem. No. Chapter 215 Morning Class Practice Please. Subscribe to the monthly ticket Tilda. After breakfast, the two returned to the second floor, took care of the two babies, and began today's morning practice. Well, whether it is the Tibetan yoga practiced by Chen Jun or the Wu family's mind control practice of Wu Jiantao, both have simple starting moves for strengthening the stomach and digesting food. They practice these movements first, and when they feel the bloating in the stomach gradually disappears, their bodies have also entered the best condition, and they can formally practice. To this day, perhaps Chen Jun is not very advanced in the practice of this secret Tibetan yoga, but compared with the current mainstream yoga practice level, he has definitely stepped into the professional threshold. Just like now after warming up with digestion, she did not start with simple movements, but started with the crane pose right away. Moreover, her crane pose is different from the current mainstream yoga crane pose. Her knees directly touch the armpits, which is the most difficult. Now she can hold this position for at least half an hour. Although her arm strength to last for so long may not be as good as Wu Jiantao, it is already amazing among women. Even women who engage in professional sports are mostly not as good as her. And the person standing on the windowsill couldn't hold back his gaze and kept looking over here. After all, how could he describe this posture? Well, from the perspective of human biomechanics, the ability to complete this action in this way fully demonstrates that my wife has good body flexibility and strong arm strength. At the same time, judging from this posture, I always feel that some cooperation is needed to complete a more difficult breakthrough. For example, if a person's weight is added on top, will her arms be strong enough to support it? Wu Jiantao considered this issue very seriously. Of course, it didn't necessarily have to be done on his wife. If he could perform some coordinated movements from behind, it should be possible to increase the difficulty of her practicing the movement. What? This is really a very serious academic question. He found that many of the movements of this set of secret yoga have different positions and postures, and they are progressive. Perhaps this set of secret yoga is a very unique dual cultivation method in tantric practice. Although he was thinking, he was staring at Chen Jun intently. She noticed it and turned her head to give him a reproachful look. Why do you keep looking at me with that kind of eyes? Wu Jiantao was slightly stunned. Then he smiled wickedly and said naturally, that look, what kind of look? I don't really understand. Can you explain it to me? Chen Jun. She found that her husband seemed to be getting more and more shameless. Every time she thought that this was his bottom line, she didn't expect that there was a basement below, and then she found that there was a cellar under the basement. After she finally got used to it, she found that there was an underground cave below. It's amazing. At this moment, Wu Jiantao stopped practicing the standing meditation, walked into the room from the balcony, closed the sliding door of the balcony, and pulled the curtain. Chen Jun. Before she realized what her husband was going to do, she saw him turn around again, open the door, lower the curtain in front of the door, close the door, and lock it. Chen Jun. Still maintaining her crane Zen style, she looked puzzled, frowning at her husband. What are you doing? The room is very dark like this. Wu Jiantao approached her and said seriously, I have a very good idea for your secret yoga moves, and I need your cooperation. Chen Jun. She didn't quite understand why she needed to close the doors and windows, but when someone came over and started to help her correct her yoga postures, Chen Jun then deeply understood that her husband really wanted to help her with today's morning practice. Next, she stopped the crane Zen meditation and started practicing simple Tibetan yoga movements. With the cooperation of her husband, she completed the whole movement very smoothly, fully demonstrating the flexibility of her body and the infinite beauty of her lines. Starting from the half-locust pose, the girl's yoga practice gradually improved. The second move was the camel pose, and then she stood up and performed the left and right leg single leg balance pose, and the enhanced left and right leg single leg balance pose. If she were to perform these 4 yoga poses by herself, she could maintain them for a very long time. However, because of Wu Jiantao, the difficulty and effect were increased, and she only needed to maintain them for a few minutes to complete the practice requirements. Then with the help of Wu Jiantao, she smoothly came to the dance king pose. At this time, Chen Jun finally began to feel tired. Although her body's qi and blood were fully stimulated and she felt physically and mentally comfortable, she was breathing very quickly as she gritted her teeth to keep the pose, and her body, which was trying hard to bend, couldn't help but tremble slightly. Well, this was caused by muscle soreness. Finally, Chen Jun completed this movement and came to the crane Zen movement that he had just performed. This time, she maintained this position for more than 40 minutes. directly breaking her previous record. Of course, this was achieved with the help of Wu Jiantao. She believes that she will have many opportunities to maintain or even break the holding time of this action again. Chen Jun is particularly confident on this point. Call. With Wu Jiantao's help, Chen Jun finally completed her yoga practice. When she came out of the bathroom, she looked rosy-cheeked and her face was flushed, but her breath was still a little hurried. Well, this time the training is dynamic. I will go to the bathroom to finish it at the end. After finishing, I will take a hot shower to wash away the sweat on my body, dry myself, and then change into dry clothes before coming out. This is normal. How does it feel? Wu Jiantao's breathing was also a little rapid. After all, last night, coupled with the fact that he had just practiced tantric yoga, he had consumed a lot of physical energy. This kind of yoga assistance was not so easy to use, and the movements he needed to complete were also quite difficult. In particular, the process of lifting Chen Jun up and performing the next yoga pose required considerable arm strength to complete. Especially during the whole process, he basically maintained a straight horse stance and also practiced the Xinyaquan standing meditation. Now he must be very tired. But the effect of the practice is amazing. Chen Jun felt warm all over at this time. From head to toe, every inch of skin was hot. That was the rapid circulation of blood in the body, a unique manifestation of metabolism, and he felt that the fatigue from not sleeping last night was swept away, and he felt much more relaxed, but it was inevitable. There will be some weakness in the legs. Chapter 216, Girlfriend Arrives Tilda. Wu Jiantao's practice of Zhuang Gong today also had a good effect.